was crazy. I wasn't expecting not to see Kazi on that list. Well, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, StevieMillPlays. It's going to be a bit of a special edition of StevieMillPlays tonight. I am your host, Stevie Mill. We're here to play some D&D, some TTRPG. We're here to roll some dice, have some fun. I definitely appreciate everyone who's tuning in on a holiday. Especially want to wish everyone a happy holiday, happy Memorial Day. I definitely want to give a shout out to all the veterans and everyone who has served, who is serving, or will just want to give a shout out to them, of course, as well. And again, thank everyone for tuning in. Hope you've been going over to the YouTube channel and checking us out to get caught up on stuff, or to get refreshed, or if you if you started watching and you had to go to bed, which I understand because we play late. Definitely thankful if you want to go over to the YouTube channel and check us out. And again, I am your humble forever GM, Stevie Mill, and we've got some more dungeon crawling lined up and in store for everyone tonight. So I'm excited. I hope everyone is excited too. Gonna do a quick round of pre-game introductions and do a little download here before we get started.
I'm playing Slippy, the Bardic Slum. I'm going to be singing and slipping in this dungeon. We're going to be crawling and dipping.
Crawling and dipping, sliding and slipping. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm going to be playing Irving, the Blind Avian Monk. I'm Caleb, and I think this character is still just trying to be better at what he's doing, trying to improve his skills as
I'm Levi. I'm playing the Khajiit rogue named Sprinkles. I just want to kill some stuff in this dungeon today.
Ready to slay. I hope everyone's had a good day off if you didn't have to work today. I know there was a big festival that came in town over the weekend too. So if you were there for that, I hope you had a great time, and hope everything went well for you. Yeah. Levi was at that festival too. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go. Although it's been raining actually all weekend here. It's been pouring down rain, storming on and off the whole time. It literally has been maybe just stopped raining again like 30 minutes an hour ago here in town. But so I hope everyone stayed dry that went to the festival and had a good time. You said it was a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even sure the kind of music that they were playing there. But you showed me the video though, and I didn't realize they had like such a big.
Nice lighting, nice stages. There's multiple stages. They have one stage that's like on the lake or the pond there. They call it lake stage, and like it shines lights out onto the lake behind it as it's doing performances.
They have multiple sim sites.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
It's the same venue that had the big water too.
Yes. It's Pop's Farm.
So yeah, I really wanted to go this year. Didn't get the chance, so I'm definitely gonna try to show up next year. And there's another big concert coming into town later. Not coming into town. It's the Blue Ridge Festival. Is that what I'm talking? The Blue Ridge.
Blue Ridge Rock
Yeah, that's.
Fest.
Do you know where Blue Ridge Rock Fest is? I ain't sure either. I don't know. I've heard a lot of good stuff about it, but I have no clue where it's at.
Yeah, it's within like 30 or 45 minutes from here, so it's pretty close. So that'll be worth going to. There's gonna be a ton of good bands that are going. Yeah, it was, like I said, everyone said it was a good time. I saw pictures of everyone out there having fun, and we did the campaign at the brewery yesterday, and Levi got to call in and hang out and play with us for a while too, which was pretty awesome because we had a good time rolling dice there yesterday too. Always so much fun. It was a side quest day for that yesterday too. So next Sunday will be the main quest. So if anyone watching is playing in the brewery campaign. Definitely can't wait to see you all on Sunday as we well, not gonna give away too much, but it's gonna be some fighting in that session too. So I hope everyone is ready and prepared to get their hands a little dirty.
Yes.
Rocks the Revenheart, welcome back, my friend. I been checking you out on your Facebook, and I saw where you were thinking about trading away the van. I hope you keep it, because that thing is amazing, epic. I know you worked really hard on it too. So you've got that thing mobile and ready and set. You should come hang out with us and play one day. Let's say if you showed up at my door, I definitely would show you all the hospitality. The best part about that too is you get to live mobile. Imagine if being able to kind of live kind of where you want, town to town, you drive around. It's all
where the wind and the wheels take you.
Yeah.
He's got it. So when we left off at the end of the last session, and what a session it was. The party had hung out in Recopa City for a little while, and then they had really found their way into the depths below the castle, and found their way, going from the sewers to some kind of older looking, kind of dungeon-esque place. And there's, there were ventilation rooms in there, and there were sewers and sewer tunnels, and it's been a really interesting dungeon, and a lot of fun so far. Again, if it's your first time here on the stream, or first time watching on the channel, we do play a bit of a different hybrid than traditional D&D or Pathfinder or 5e or any of those variants. It's a brand new to the internet, I should say, custom progressive D6 system that's specially tailor-made, all complete rules in its own system, and so you won't find anything like it anywhere else. And so, if you've been watching along, I hope you've been enjoying all the action so far and all the fun. And again, if it's your first time, it may not seem like traditional D&D, but again, that's where the merit and the magic is, and so we're gonna have a lot of fun. And so the place that you had left off, and it was a situation where everyone was tired and weary from trudging through the dungeon so far, and it was in the middle of the night because you'd been up a lot of the day before navigating into the dungeon. So these are the sewers underneath the massive Recopa desert castle, and so it has been a lot of sewage and a lot of water and a lot of that kind of stuff as you've been navigating this far into it. But you found a spot deeper in where it was one of those larger, tall, domed, ventilation-like rooms, where the air seems to circulate freely here. The floor is relatively dry, and so it was easy enough for the group to set up a tent and to lay their blankets out and to take turns resting for the night. Jerome, was not here with us. He went to the race, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I actually can't wait to hear about that, because it's another thing I wish I had time to get to do, is to go and see cool stuff like that as far as races.
Praise hell, praise Dale.
We do. Yeah, and I don't know if we've really gone on about kind of where we're at or where we're located as far as where we're streaming this from, but definitely a big NASCAR part of the country. A lot of people love NASCAR down here, and so it's.
Left turns hit different.
Well, they definitely do, and so look at that roll. Just running some rolls out and rolled a couple of sixes. It's a bunch of absolute legends. You did hit it. Well, it flew right out of the box. Knocked him into a 6 and landed a second 6. That is 2 6s in a row for both of them. We're going to start out with some real fire today. Going to start out with some heat, a 1 and a 2.
Fitting.
Triple Six is a big name of the game here on the stream and in the game system. To which, again, if you've already been watching us play on this stream or on the one at the brewery, yeah, you already know how great and how powerful those sixes are. Just how amazing they can be. When you do it, and well, also when it happens to you. But it was at the point where everyone had been resting and sleeping there, but you really had to take turns to keep watch. And so this is one of those what a classic D&D situation to where everyone is sleeping away in the dungeon, and one person has to kind of take turns walking around the perimeter of the room. The rest you took was only going to be about 2 to 2.5 hours, and so one person for about 30 minutes at a time had to walk around the large dark set brick room. And it's deep down underground, far below the sewers of the castle, and so there's normally always water dripping running along the walls, and the sewers are normally grimy and mucky. The water running through them, for hundreds of years because the castle's been there a long time. This room amongst them again was relatively dry, so you were able to sleep and keep watch. Now, did you guys determine an order to which you were going to keep the watch last time?
I thought we were gonna make Egan do it.
Gonna make him go first or do the whole thing?
Just make him go first or something.
Or what? I think.
Actually, what does he need rest for? I mean, he doesn't have any spells he's gonna reach.
That's very sure.
Egan, the goblin NPC they picked up
He's got
earlier in the
food.
campaign, so he's
He has a water skin too. He has everything he needs.
But I mean, he does need sleep at some point.
Knock his ass out.
But then we'd have to carry him.
Drag his ass around.
Be good training. I mean, I think that Drum was going to take the first one, but since
ooh. I'll say for this that he'll be soundly asleep through this whole part of the
I will be happy to do the first one.
Other side up.
first, second.
I'll have Egan do the third watch, and I'll do the last one. Or do we need to do the watch?
Yeah, everyone's gonna have to do at least one.
Alright.
So we'll have to make up for the one that was sleeping. So we'll have to do 5 watches total, right?
I'll skip Drums because he's not here, so I wouldn't make him try to do a watch roll.
Or each of us could evenly extend our own
So
watch.
Irving, and then it was
Yeah.
Sprinkles, and then
And then him and Egan.
Slippy, and then Egan, doing it like that.
Or Egan then me.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
So with going first, it's you don't necessarily have to walk around the room and just keep a watch on the 3 kind of passageways that lead out and away from this room. It is circular with a large ceiling, 40-50 feet that comes to a dome up top, and Drum and Sprinkles and Slippy would be able to notice the slits way at the top of the ceiling that looks like air could maybe pass in and out. So you could sit with your legs crossed right outside the small tent that they had set up, with the only sound in this chamber is the sound of snoring and heavy breathing coming from the tent behind you, and the occasional sound of a drop of water as it hits the floor around you, off in the faint distance. And this is the way that everyone had arrived from. You can hear the faint sound of moving water, sometimes trickling, sometimes rushing a little bit. You can hear that off in the distance somewhere. This room also had 2 other passages in it. This one you can see right away led to stairs that seemed to descend, and this way was just a hallway that went on for a little while, and before you went to sleep, Sprinkles walked up to it and held his torch out as far as he could into it, and you could see that it went down maybe 20-30 feet and then seemed to bend and turn off to the to the right. So the way you came in, and then 2 other directions that you could go as you took the first watch. So go ahead and roll a d4 for your watch.
Nice. Could I use blind sense and roll for a d8? Because I ain't gonna be able to see nothing anyway.
So this is more of a event roll for the watch.
Okay.
A 3. No, that's fantastic to say that there was nothing at all significant that happened while you were sitting there, sort of lost in thought, listening for any sign or any hint of anything. But you didn't hear anything again except for the occasional dripping of water, snoring coming from the tent behind you, and the sound of water moving off in the distance. And so after 30 minutes of keeping watch, you shuffle your way into the tent. You nudge Sprinkles, who woke up pretty easily. So as it's your turn standing outside during the watch, you make slow, methodical circle movements around the tent, just sort of looking down, looking in this passageway down the steps a little bit, looking here and making sure everything is clear as you roll the d4. Hits the 4. Let's go.
A second
A
4?
second 4.
Wendy's want to bring it back?
Let's go.
One.
You definitely passed with a 4 to say that nothing eventful or significant happened while you were taking your watch. So after 30 minutes, you going back inside the tent, you let Egan know that it's going to be his turn. And for Egan, it's a little different. He's never done anything like this before, and so he's nervous as he's sort of darting over this way and then darting over this way and kind of looking down this stairway for a long moment. Something about it going further, deeper down on the ground maybe seems to upset him or cause him a little stress. So he's going to make his rounds, and he has to roll the d4.
I'm gonna have him also eat 1 serving of gingerweed to attempt to calm while he's on watch.
A 2. Well.
Does gingerweed heal?
No, it doesn't heal anything. It's just like a sprig of like a parsley-esque vegetable.
Yeah,
I'll have him
I
eat
ground up
healing
some.
herb too.
Okay, then you can heal his HP if he's
I
injured.
used that last time I ground it up, and we used it in the food during the picnic.
Hmm? Yeah, so it's perfect for something like that, to where you want to use it to add as an additive for food. So on a 2, you're gonna say there was a moment where he was kind of over here looking down, looking down the steps, nervously.
The stare back.
And he thought he heard something coming from down there, a heavy movement of air, a rustling of something, and then he immediately was going to go and run back. Yeah, he fell over, right? He's immediately going to go and run back and kind of alert everyone in the tent. But then he's like, they told me not to be afraid of tumbleweeds.
This time you might want to be afraid of this tumbleweed.
But he walked over and kind of peered, down again into the darkness for a couple of minutes, and nothing seemed to happen. He didn't see anything, so he kind of went back to his watch. And after the 30 minutes, his watch subsided as well. And so...
Sheesh, I was about to have him throw a dagger down there.
And so as he goes back into the tent, he, alerts Slippy that it's your turn to take a watch. As you come out of the tent, start bounding around, again, you're peering down this stairway and looking down this passageway. You came from this direction, so you have the feeling that it's relatively safe. But go ahead and roll the d4. A 4. Roll it again. A 1. So yeah, on a 4, you don't notice anything, and nothing seems to happen. You don't hear any strange, disturbing sounds, no distressing noises or events. So pretty normal watch. And that was the last one. And we'll say that Jerome took the first one, so that gives everyone 30 minutes times 5. So it gives everyone about 2.5 hours of sleep, which is enough to, I'll say, restore 25% of your max HP and AP back.
Sick.
Mine's at 15. Are you rounding up or down?
25% rounded down.
What if it's like 3.5?
25%. Is that your AP?
25% of 15.
Oh yeah, then it would be 3.5 rounded down.
Okay, so just 3.
Let's go with casting magic boys.
I'm gonna slang some spells. So
Thal's awake now. I'm gonna use Scenic Vista to just play first as
Okay.
we get ready to survey the tunnels.
Okay.
Sure, so we got ready. D8.
3. So you play a quick little bleed dee dee bleed thrum 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 thrum. So everyone is putting away the canvas from the tent and getting all their gear packed up and getting everything together. And that takes just a few minutes with everyone working together. Yeah, if you guys, if you guys want to do a work together roll, I'll always support that. That's a 3, that's a 1, and that is a 2. A 1, a 2, and a 3. Hastily packing up all of your tent and supplies. This it puts you back in this circular call it a ventilation room for lack of another term. Well, the way you came was this way, and if you remember, there was that chamber you had been in just before, where it was all those serpent-like, snake-like creatures that had slithered out of the inky water to attack you. So there's still thoughts of that are still ringing in the back of your mind as you're waking up and putting everything away. So now it's there's these stairs that head straight down in this direction, and this passageway that seems to turn and bend about 20 feet in. So which way would you go?
The stairs seem interesting.
I have been thinking about the stairs since my watch.
You want to try splitting up?
We could split up.
Me and he can go one way and you guys can go the other.
I don't know. For some reason, I'm against splitting up.
Whichever.
But we would cover more ground faster if we did.
I feel like one of them's going to be a dead end that might have loot at the end. Or something. Just a reward for going down there to see what was there. Maybe.
Well, we should send our fastest people one way, and then our slowest people down the
I
hallway.
think we're all really fast.
Yeah.
It's a pretty fast team.
7 agility.
I think mine's a little less than that. Mine's 6.
So I mean, honestly,
Who's our most durable?
me. I got
The monk.
26 HP.
It's like 21.
This might be the
Whichever
fun thing,
whichever
even
way
though the
you guys go, I'll go the other way. So like you 3 can go together, and then I'll go the other way, because I can hear something a lot farther than anybody can see it.
Oh, that's true. So
Well, then you can take Egan. That way he can be your
So-
eyes.
in this
That's fair. Yeah.
in this like map thing here, which way do we come in?
This way.
This way. And so there's stairs to the left, and then
Mhm.
there's a passageway in front of us.
Yep.
I bet we're gonna find another one of those weird doors that go to nothing. So they gotta be magical. They gotta be like magic portal doors or something.
Alright, so it's me, you, and Drum going down the stairs. Egan and Irving taking the hallway.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, so Team A, Irving and Egan, add up your agilities,
10 total.
and Slippy and Sprinkles add up your agility together.
I have 6.
6 or 12.
So 12. So they have so you two have the higher number. So then we will start with Slippy, and Sprinkles. So going down these steps takes you to a down at the bottom, and there's about a good 20 or 30 of them. And there's, they look somewhat damp, and there's, mold and some moss running up the sides of the walls here, and, cobwebs along the top corners as you're sort of slowly scoffing down these stone steps. And as soon as you get to the bottom, peering ahead, it looks like just a long stone passageway. The walls about 7 feet high, and you could walk side by side through them, but there wouldn't be much elbow room for you to do so. So and it seems to go down, further ahead than the light will take you.
You got a torch with you?
Yeah, I have my homemade torch.
Since we had to go down these stairs, I don't think there will be much on the walls. So
Nothing works.
try rushing down there in case something comes up. That way we can immediately get back to them.
We'll see. Just keep going.
So pushing on ahead, you definitely, both of you, kind of start to hear at about the same time. Again, that sound of trickling or moving water as it's bubbling, moving over something slowly. And this is again a longer passage taking you down. You have to walk for more than a couple seconds to where you can finally see something at the end. And as you get to the end of it, it actually it's a wall straight ahead of you that seems, as the passage goes off in either direction. Though when you look at the floor, you see then again it has some of that similar hard, long grooves along each side that looks like water could run through, like little gullies that go along, or gutters, you can call them that too. And it runs the whole length as you peer right and you peer left. So it definitely just comes to an intersection.
We can go left or right.
Or we could run the classic, let's split up here.
Oh my!
I was thinking that too.
Well, look at the group just splitting up so much. What fission?
So we went down these stairs.
Yep, went all the way down.
How far down was it? Like another 20 feet or something?
You guys went down. It was about 30 steps that you went down. 30 steps straight. So it went down pretty deep.
All right.
And you notice above the gutters, of course, there's some water trickling through them, running from left to right, and the same sort of black gunky stuff and moss and mildew running up the sides of the walls here. A lot more than in the hallway you were just in. And so as you're peering, another thing you notice is that at your feet, this gutter over here seems to actually be pretty deep. And it goes down quite a ways. So it's strange. The ones you've seen before were maybe a foot or two deep. But this one, there's water at the bottom of it. But as you hold your torch over it, it seems to go down maybe 8 or 9 feet.
You want to try to pull up this gutter? Is it like a grate?
No, it's just
It's a slit.
yeah, it's just like a deep. It's about a foot and a half long. So you'd have to step over it to really enter the chamber here, and it runs along both sides like this.
Yeah. I'll go check that out.
Alright, I can go the other way.
I'll
So-
use predate dot and go in there.
So it's only about this wide though, and it's just a gutter that runs down. It seems to be there for collecting or gathering of water and moving it along down the room. So you want to, as the two of you go to like diverge and turn in either direction, and you have a light source.
So
Uh-oh. Well.
Let me see if I have an extra torch.
that has no light source.
I have 2 torches, but we already split up.
Yeah.
So.
You can try making another one.
Nah, we'll just stick together.
Okay.
Then which way would you go?
We'll go this way since that's the side you're on.
Alright.
We got
This
the
way?
torch.
So walking down in this direction, it's the same sort of stone walkway that looks like it's been really just cut out of the ground itself, with the walls being made of that same, maybe 2 feet by 3 feet, and some of them are cracked and worn. A lot of them along, especially at waist level and lower, look worn and eroded with the moss and the mildew and stuff rolling up to the sides from the gutters. And you only have to walk in this direction maybe about another 20 or 30 feet before you see that it opens up. It opens up into what looks like a smaller antechamber, right? The walls, again, rounded. It's only about 8 or 9 feet high. But on the other side of it is a big metal a metal grate cover, but it's up against the wall there. And it looks like to be, incredibly rusted, but it's set right into the rock and the stone. And there's, you can see as you peer in through the torch, or through the torchlight, that there's, a big, wide open room behind it with what looks like sand or something, wet sand, all over the floor, as if maybe stone hadn't been set in there and it's just wet sand instead. It's hard to tell, but the grate itself is about 1.5 feet off the ground and is about 4 feet, 4 feet in a circle, with the bars heavy set of rusted, grimy-looking metal. So with the two of you kind of looking at it, kind of contemplating for a moment and peering in.
I'm gonna use a predate song into it to see if it echoes back.
I'll go ahead. A 2. Letting out a low. Ooh. It echoes off the walls in the room on the other side of the grate. For that moment, ooh, as it bounces off the walls. It's a big room. It must be, judging by the sound of the echo, though the torchlight only reveals, maybe 20 or 30 feet in. So as you're kind of taking stock of the situation, Irving and Egan went straight on ahead from the ventilation room, and after about 15 feet, it did turn, sloping slightly to the right, and the same kind of heavy gray set stones, with the floor looking like it was chiseled out of the ground itself. It turns slightly and bends, and then you find yourself staring out into another strange-looking open room. This one, it looks to be pretty square or pretty square in shape, and actually, it stretches out in front of you about a good 100 feet. The stones, however, in this room, Egan can automatically tell, seem quite different in that they're all sort of square, and some are gray, some are a darker gray, some are a lighter shade of gray. They all just seem to be different colors. Did they put different stones on the floor here in different colors for some reason? Did something happen in this room to make them turn different colors? The wearing of water, the passing of time? It's hard to tell. Egan rolls an investigation check. A d6. A 5. He explains this to you in that these stones on the floor, they don't look like the stones we've been seeing so far. Different colors. There's something different about them.
Cool. Could be traps.
Or they could be movable. Or they could have been moved.
That's true. Do they look like scrape marks, or is it more of just a mineral difference? Can you tell?
Says, it could be different kinds of mineral rock, maybe. Says, but they're all pretty well set in well-defined lines, where you can tell that they're each one is an individual, and they all look about the same, length and diameter, as far as being about 4 foot square on each one. So as he's describing that to you, it really does sound like different colored rock, different colored square set stones all in the room. Some lighter shades of gray, some the normal stone gray like the stone of the walls around you, some a little darker as if they're damp or wet or a different kind of rock perhaps.
We'll just go on further in for now. We don't see anything in it. Like, he doesn't see anything.
So peering in, he has a torch too, right? Someone have a light source between the two of you?
Yeah, I've got 2 torches, so I can just give him one if he doesn't have.
Okay. If he doesn't have one, then you can subtract one from the inventory, and you can add one.
I forgot to erase the E, so it was torche.
Don't search her up, boys. Torch.
So as the two of you go to investigate further into the room, well, actually, do you guys go first or side by side?
I'll go first and see if I can roll for a blind sense to get a sense of if there's anything else moving around in there before we go in that he can't see behind the blocks.
Okay. You take a step forward and you go ahead and use blind sense.
A 3.
3. So you don't hear anything in this room. It's completely stone quiet. You don't even hear the running of water or the sound of water droplets hitting the ground or anything. It's completely quiet in this room.
Well, that's good. I'm gonna go up and can I tell at all where those stones are?
Because it's the floor,
Yeah.
and it is a normal-looking floor. Instead of it's just as if it's a multicolored pattern of similar-sized square stones that make up the floor.
What's color?
Weird. Huh?
What's color?
Yeah. Well, I mean.
That is how Egan described it.
Yeah, from Egan. I mean, that's a fancy sewer floor, but I don't really know what we could do with it. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep walking out, see if there's any pattern I have to hit.
So as the two of you walk in, you have to roll a reaction roll, because as you step onto this stone, suddenly Egan lets out a shriek behind you as you feel weightless for a moment, as that section and that square of the floor gives way. Roll a d6 to leap back. A 3. So you're not able to leap back in time. As you try your best to push your body, you feel your side hit the stone behind you as your one hand goes up over the top of it like this. As you feel yourself hanging. Egan yells. He's a 6. He says, he says, "Holy frazzle crack, the floor gave way."
Yeah. I am in the floor.
Hey, that was wide.
That was good.
You definitely gotta give yourself a raise. Fucking through the beat.
But as he goes on to explain, it was just that square that dropped out from beneath you as soon as you stepped on it. The other ones around it haven't moved at all. And you're hanging, so roll a d6 to, he's going to roll an assist roll to reach over and grab your hands, or your wrist and your arm to help you up. He rolls a 2.
Missed it.
But you hit the 2.
Hey.
So as he reaches out to grab you, and you swing your other hand up, let's see, so he's right here on this stone, and you're on this one. He starts tugging your arms mightily. His strength is not very considerable, however. His strength is only a 2.
Yeah.
And so as he groans under the weight, he finds himself slipping forward a little bit.
Hang around me too much.
Oh,
Man.
you feel yourself stuttering a bit as his feet are sliding forwards. He's like, "You're too heavy."
I'm only 80 pounds. And then I just pull myself up.
All right, roll another d6 then, because that was not a successful attempt for an assist, even with matching 2s. Oh no, a 1.
Tell him to use his daggers to hold himself in place while he holds you.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull on him.
So as you let go of him to grab the stones, it's somewhat dry stone, but because the whole area, it can have water or have moisture on it, you feel your hands slipping as you're falling further in. A slip
without me?
with a 4, Egan, putting his body on the ground, reaches down and has to grab this side of your hand, your arm like this, and he grabs the back collar of your feathers up behind your head like this. And now, as he grabs you with 2 hands, his body stops for a moment as you're with one hand now hanging over the lip of the rock. And he now, because he's lying prone, holding you, his head is over the edge, looking down past you, and he says, "Oh no, Spike's down there."
Come on. All right. I guess I only
So
can roll to get back up again.
yeah, you're hanging on by one hand, and so now this next roll is going to be to get your other hand up back on the lip of the stone to pull yourself up. Oh no! Don't hit Egan! Don't hit Egan! 5, nice. Let's see if he can. 6. All right. That was enough of a success to where you get your other hand up on the lip of the rock, and as you hoist yourself up, you feel his hand over your back between your wings, as he's grunting with all the force he has to help heave your body up over the lip of the stone. Both of you kind of lying there for a moment, gasping for air.
Nuts.
As you get back up to your feet, he creeps up to the edge of, let's see, so you've stepped on this rock so far. He stepped on, and he has stepped on this one too, but it was this one that gave way. So as he peers over down in there, you can, yeah, if you want to use something to note that spot, you definitely can. You can put a 1 there. That was not a good. Definitely worth a 1. So as you as Egan peers down into it, he says that it looks like it's about 25 to 30 feet straight down, and he says it looks like it's white spikes of something that look like they're stuck into the ground. Could they be large animal bones? Could they be something that's white? Could it be painted stones? Hard to tell, but it's definitely jagged looking and random patterns and of varying lengths and sizes, skewered up all around the bottom down there.
Great.
Let's ask him what color the stone was that fell.
What color was the stone that fell? That's a good question.
So, no, it was just one of the regular gray-looking ones.
Well, that's not good.
What's gray?
Yeah. Lead the way, Egan, and just don't step on any more of the gray ones, and we'll see what we can do from there. I'm gonna keep my hand on your collar. Yeah, so that if you fall, I can pull you or whatever.
So that team rolls to me. So he's going to be standing here then in front of you, with you grabbing onto the. He's wearing armor.
He has an
iron
desert
helmet.
outfit and an iron helmet.
Okay, so his outfit is really just that heavy cloak you would wear to shield your body from the sands and the sun of the desert. So you can grab a handful of that behind his shoulders, and lean back a little bit as he leans forward, trying to slightly put pressure on this stone floor piece ahead of him. Both of you roll a d6. He had a 1.
Dice.
Battles Egan.
Into a 1.
But he hits the 6, so he does get to roll it again.
Roll it again.
Roll it into a 1 again.
So Egan just steps forward so gingerly, and then in that last moment, his clothing seems to slip from your grasp. He literally lets out a pig-like squeal as he goes stumbling forwards onto this rock. Boom! He lands. You don't hear anything give way. He goes, oh, crack! It didn't give way.
Nice.
Standing up, you can tell that he's breathing heavily.
It's cool, dude. I'll save you. Just chill. But let's take another swing.
So as you grab a thick handhold of the area behind his shoulders again of his cloaking. We're gonna cut it back over to Sprinkles and Slippy. So you can see the sand filled the sand floored room on the other side of this large metal grate that's sitting here. You don't see any. Well, actually, both of you roll another investigation check for this spot.
56. What is that?
A 3.
2. The grading is here. So you can definitely tell that as you peer closer, that on the left hand side you can see two heavy iron rusted hinges, lower and higher, boom boom, on that side of it. So it looks like it maybe at one time could have swung inward, but the whole thing is just rusted. A lot of it looks like it's been rusted and somewhat fused into the rock around it, going around the outside of it. The bars themselves are about this far away from each other. They're about this big around, and and some of them are green and mucky looking and rusted.
I'm gonna use predate kick on the bars.
Nice. Heave your body at it. Throwing yourself against the bars with one. Well, backing up a step, you slam into it. Some of the rust falls away from it, of course, and it makes a crunch and clang sound. You didn't take any damage, but with a 1, you only threw your body up against it, causing it to jar for just a moment.
Well, at least we know it can move. There may be some sort of mechanism we have to use to unlock it, or we could tear it down. Cat, you got any destruction in your belt?
Yeah.
Destruction.
I got a pickaxe and an axe. Does it seem to be any kind of lock or anything?
No, it's just the grate itself. Like
Yeah, there don't appear to be any locks or locking
Can we
mechanisms.
try to grab the grate and see if it'll come out?
Do both of you want to team up to do that?
Yeah. Should we work together?
Do you want to work together first? Yeah. So it would make sense from a leverage standpoint
Roll it again.
to grab it on the right hand side because the hinges are on the left, and so. You guys didn't match though. Okay.
No.
So the hinges are on this side, so you're two standing over here. They're rusted, just the same as the bars are, and the outer circle piece around the outside of it. But the hinges are on this side, so it would make sense for you to get as far away from that when you pull to get as much leverage as you can. So getting over on the far right-hand side, you're a bit on the lower end, reaching up to grab the bars, and you're kind of standing behind and above him, reaching up over him to grab the ones above him. And so now both of you roll a d6 to tug at the same time. A 6.
Don't you dare hit.
Come on, get a 6. You see him take that dice out. A 6.
Oh.
Roll the bonuses. A 2 and a 2.
Hey.
But with a pair of 6s, both of you tug one time, and it lets out a heavy, crunching sound as the whole outside of it is grinding against the stone. Rust falls away from it, and some dirt and silt falls to the floor at your feet. Redoubling your efforts, you both pull at the same time again, grunting so hard from the effort that the hinges actually break off the thing. As you go to open it, you bust the whole thing off. And so Slippy, roll to jump out of the way as it lands, and like a heavy coin falling over, falls forward towards you. Can you roll the 1? It was a 3? Well, roll again. I didn't even see it. Oh, it was a 2? Well, I mean, I thought it was a 1, but a 6. Well, roll the game. So with a 6, you leap back, and because Sprinkles is right behind you, you kind of slam into him, stumbling him backwards as you fall over him. But the circular grate clang lands, and with a clang lands on the ground. It's about 4 foot, about a 4 foot wide circle.
Can I take the metal grate?
That's a rusted metal grate.
Yeah, I want it.
Into your inventory. Broken, been opened. Busted it. So that now will allow you to step up and in through this open circle into the next room.
Okay.
So the two of you step through one at a time. You walk forward, and holding your torches out, it spills light well halfway into the room. You can see that the floor here isn't made of stone or block or smooth stone at all, but wet sand. You don't know how deep it goes or if there's stone underneath it, but it's like dark, wet, wet packed sand. And there's a spot where it's like a threshold where the stone stops and the sand starts.
Can I try like placing my foot in the sand and seeing if it holds me?
Yeah, you reach your foot out and you press it on the sand and you press down a little bit. Yeah, I mean it's packed. It's packed. So you definitely feel like you can walk on it.
You know what this calls for? Some good old fishing.
Hey.
Attach me to your fishing rod, and then use me as bait out there, so to make sure there's no sinking sharks.
We can if you want.
I'll toss you out there.
I've seen sand like this in my travels before.
So as you produce your fishing rod, you have a fishing rod? So you taking the line, running the line out from it, you wrap it once and twice around your body, tying it to a knot. Then are you going to use a move to jump out there, or are you guys going to work? Are you going to do something together to throw them out there?
Guess we could work together. I could try to like alley-oop you up there or something.
I'll leap off of him with predate dart.
So you're going to have to match his roll or higher for that dart to convert into a throw and him not just dart himself into you.
Okay.
Go ahead. Predate dart. Predate dart is a 2. Nice. Now that worked out because you want him to get... Well, he got exactly the 2. So as you leap up at him with the predate dart, he kind of holds your body like in that moment. And as you go to jump away from him, he pushes you out and away, causing you to go 10 feet on 2s. 5, 10. You land puff, in the wet sand. And, as soon as you land, you feel yourself only sink in just a tiny bit. It is wet sand, so there is that little first bit of give as you put your weight on it. But you kind of, and as you're closer into the room, you can look around and see that, it's a square, there's a long rectangular room with a higher, maybe a 20-foot tall stone ceiling. And there's, mold and, all that grimy stuff running up the walls about 7 or 8 feet in streaking patterns of black and green.
I'll keep trying to go out as far as I can.
Okay.
Until like the end of this fishing rod or fishing line.
Okay, let me... So you bound out once, twice, and 3 more times as you go further out into the room. And as you're holding your torch out now, you can definitely see as you're about in the center of the room at this point, that it is a big, big room with the floor completely sand, about 120 feet long. But now you can, as you're in the center, you can peer all the way towards the end with your torchlight, and you can see that there is what looks like an open cut part of there, a passageway, all the way in the back corner, leading to the left. So you're slowly kind of getting around a little bit. Roll, either use a skill or roll an investigation.
I'm going to use Scenic Vista again for surveying the room.
Okay.
Since I'm not in the center of it. A 4.
So you start playing. Thrum 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 a thrum thrum
I'm
thrum
trying
thrum
to
thrum.
relay back to Sprinkles in song what I see.
Yeah, it's a big room. Just say you're in the center of it. It'd be like here with him way back here.
In the room, I'm in the center, and at the end of the sand, the path seems to splinter.
Oh, let's go. The doorway's way at the end of the room. So as you're playing and thrumming, there is that moment. Well, you rolled to play, so I will roll for this. 5. Yeah, there's that moment while you're playing, looking ahead. You could have sworn you saw the sand bulge for just a moment, a couple of inches above the ground, and then just as soon as it happened, it's like you're looking again, and it's hard to tell if it even happened at all. All the sand is somewhat uniform looking, damp, so it's that darker color of sand. So it's kind of hard to tell in the flickering of the torchlight, but you could have sworn you saw something just bulge up for just a second, and then it was seemingly gone. The sand itself just did
It's a sand war.
Scary. It's tremors.
Can I shoot my water bow where the bulge was?
It's so far ahead of him, you wouldn't have been able to see from where you're standing. You were still on the threshold of the stone where it meets the sand in the first place, holding the fishing rod with him spooled to it.
I'm gonna yell about the sprinkles. The sand's popping a little bit.
I'll pull out my bow and just get ready.
Yeah, you've got it drawn out as you're kind of cautiously looking about the room. Do you want to like set your torch somewhere? Because the bow requires 2 hands.
So like maybe conveniently a torch holder?
Oh no.
Yeah, I'll set it down then, I guess.
You'll have to set it down and prop it up against the wall a little bit.
Can I stick it in the sand?
Oh, out in front of you? Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Just out in front of you, just and you're just kind of watching, looking around. You can see him out here distantly. The torchlight, extends out for good range, but he's out just a little at that threshold or a little past it because the room is so big and he's right in the center.
When I have my thunderbolt bow, I'm gonna tell Slippy to just start jumping around so we can lure this thing out.
Okay. I'm gonna mold myself into like some spikes and start shaking it in the sand.
Okay.
What mold is it? No, it's actually decent.
A 3. So you feel your body starting to slowly shift and move and change forms to large protrusions coming out of the bottom of the base of your body. You start kind of making small spinning and hopping motions, really grinding up the wet sand. And you notice that as you do that, it is just more wet sand beneath it. You're not quite sure how far down the sand goes, but as you're tearing into it, chunking around, it's all sand below it. As you do so, this time it does happen to where you don't notice it, but Slippy, go ahead and roll a d6 investigation check. Sprinkles, go ahead and roll a d6 investigation check. Slippy and Sprinkles. A 2. Well, you were watching him up ahead, hopping around and grinding up sand a little bit and causing it to flake up here and there. You could have sworn out here about 20 or 25 feet, you saw something similar to what he did. A spot where the sand visibly kind of bulges up for just a moment, making a little crack in the sand too. So you definitely saw it, alerting you that there's something underneath the sand here.
You said this is wet sand?
Yeah.
If I shoot it with the electricity, would it have extra effect because there's water?
It's 100%. I mean, sand that the water's saturated in. So
I'm just gonna shoot my bow in that spot where I saw it move. Shoot it with the thunderbolt bow.
Go ahead. A 5. So you lined up the shot perfectly, aiming right in that spot where the sand bulged up for just a moment, causing a little crack in that line of the sand. As soon as you release the arrow, the room illuminates for just a moment with that bright flash of yellow as the lightning magic leaps out from the head of the arrow, streaks over, striking the spot in the sand. You notice as soon as it strikes it, though, the electricity that was surging out of it just all of a sudden just like dissipate, like boom, it's gone. As the ground seems to have like just grounded it instantly.
Anything move after I shot it?
A second passes, and then another second, and a couple more. You're kind of still out here finishing your turn, tearing up chunks and pieces of the wet sand.
Yeah, I'm trying to get as low in the sand as I can.
Yeah, I mean you're already like a foot down in it now as you're kind of digging around. Well, then about halfway in between, you notice something incredible. The whole spot just bulges up in a big, wide, 5-foot round circle. The sand just bulges up behind him, where he's kind of hopping and jumping. He seems oblivious to it at this moment. He seems oblivious to it at this moment. It's right here, and it's a circle about this big. As it all rises and bulges up, cracks appearing in the wet sand. And then, before you know it, boom! Coming out of the water, or coming out of the watery sand is it must be some kind of a sand serpent or sandworm of some kind. It's easily as big around as a tree trunk. It's got a dark green and darker brown, heavy scaled stripes on its body. It rises up, 5, 6, 8, 10 feet up out of the sand, right?
Take a shot at it.
Looming. As it, we'll say, you only see kind of the back of it and the back of its large snake-like head. But as it lets out a deep, grinding, bellowing sound, it's got some unique kind of scaling webbed pattern around its head that all flares out at the same time when it makes that sound. So you turn and you see it rising 10 feet up into the air, with its tree trunk-like body and its worm-like head, and as it belts out a deafening screech at you, it's
Are these copy too?
these things around its head, this whole web thing around its head just all flares out at the same time, making its whole head look large and imposing. Go ahead. Ooh, a 6. Not enough to copy its roar. But you still try to imitate it. As soon as it rose up looking at you, going, "Rrr," you instantly kind of look back at it and you go, "Rah!"
Let's go. Sprinkles, you gotta catch it. Anytime we catch something, it automatically goes down to 0. So we don't have to fight. I just have to somehow survive long enough in its mouth.
Oh no, I kind of want to shoot it.
Alright.
Can I take a
That's too
shot
big.
while it's back its turn?
Actually, the turn. Sorry, your turn is over, y'all.
Okay.
Oh.
Alrighty.
So as the two of you, are readying weapons and preparing to throw yourselves at this this sandworm, cuts back over to Egan and Irving as they've started to meticulously, cautiously make their way from one square stone set piece to the next as they try to get across this room. Egan had a pretty tense moment on the first one as you had let go of him accidentally, and he landed on stone thinking for sure it was going to give away and his life was going to be over. But fortunately, it didn't seem to move, and so he's, lets out a heavy sigh. He says, "This is stressful. How do you guys do this?"
Lots of practice. Lots of practice. Let's go to the next.
So he says, "Which way should I go? Should I go to the one ahead, or to the one on my left, or maybe to the one over diagonal? They're all different colors."
What color is the one that you're standing on?
He's like, "Oh, this one's like a dark gray, like the stone is wet."
Are there any that match that around you?
He says, "Oh, yeah, there's one over there, and over there diagonal."
Well, let's do it, my friend. Let's give it a shot. See if it's the same thing as this one.
He says, Okay, I've got this.
And I've got you. Don't.
Didn't ask what his diagonal.
I mean, at this point, I got his collar, so he's like pulling me around.
So both of you then roll the d6. He rolls a 2. Will you battle that? Battles it into a 2 and only lands a 2. He So as he goes to step diagonally on this one, that is seemingly the same color. There's that moment where he steps on it and leans in, and instantly you feel his body start to sink as the stone begins to give way. Trying to jerk him back, you're not quite sure how big each stone set piece is. So as you pull back, his body still ends up falling. Reaching out with your other hand, you feel yourself shuffling forward as you're holding him now, as his legs and his back is hitting the edge of the stone behind him, as he's flailing his arms and legs, completely screaming at the top of his lungs.
Chill, dude. Chill. And then I just pull him back up, because I imagine he's, what, like 30, 40 pounds? Goblin child.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's about 60 pounds, and he's got his gear on, too.
Dude, we weigh about the same. That's crazy.
So go ahead and roll a d6 then to try to hoist him up.
Super cool. That's nice.
Woo, it's a 1! Well, in desperation, Egan is going to try to, ignoring the fact that you're hanging on to his coats, he's going to instinctively twist his body around and try to grab the lips of the stone himself. Oh, wow, it's a good thing I did that. Battling into a 3, but hitting a 6.
Whoa!
Yes, sir. Yes,
He
sir.
could be the chosen one.
Egan's going to roll again and hit a 5. Beautiful. So he does twist out of your grasp, and in that one moment you think for sure he's gone. But then you hear at your feet. And so, and now you hear him yelling. He's like, oh God, crack, I'm not gonna make it.
Yes, the crack you are.
I want to go back to Tinker.
Oh, who was this saying? Well, welcome back. First of all, someone talking to you in the chat, Levi.
Welcome.
Welcome back. As Irving and Egan are trying to make their way through this room, some of the stones are giving way, and some are not. And so, go ahead and roll to reach down and grab his wrists or his arms to try to hoist him back up. A 5, nice. Grabbing him, you pull him back up to the spot where you're at. Having to step back, being careful to try to walk directly behind you, so that you know what stone you're stepping on as you pull him back up. He's there. Oh, Grack.
Oh, hold on, I got an idea. Alright, I'm gonna give him my pickaxe.
So, do you have a dice? Do you have a dice you can put on this?
Yeah, I do. So there's at this point we don't know if there's any rhyme or reason. So let's just try and make a straight dash for the other side. Not dash. Sorry. Wrong word. Let's very slowly and methodically smack each tile in a straight line with the pickaxe until we hit a trouble. So I'm gonna give him my pickaxe. And
Okay.
Just straight, like against the wall. Not against the wall, but like straight.
Yeah, because this one is against the wall here.
Right.
And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 long. So yeah, the room's about, with each stone being maybe 4 to 5 feet, and then 10, 20. Yeah, that works out perfectly.
And he's got a pickaxe in his inventory now too, so he can kind of flack him before we go stepping out on him. Anyway.
So handing the pickaxe up to him, he takes it in his trembling hands, and looking out ahead of him, again, there's a perfectly square, gaping hole in that spot where that stone floor piece was. So he musters up a swing, and well, as he reels it back, you realize in that moment he's probably going to swing it behind him. So as he's rolling to swing, roll to step back out of the way. Here, roll the 5. A 4. So you do back up just in time to feel only the top part of the pickaxe hit you as you back up. He went like this.
Oh, jeez.
It's tight. But he swings it over his head in a wide arc.
Oh, wow.
And we have someone making some bets in the chat. Sprinkles, are you going to take... I see there's a bet for 500 mil. I wonder if you're going to take that bet. Though I'm not.
What are they saying?
That sounds like using money. Easy
500
millies.
mil if the character's background.
500 mil. I don't know if that's for something like that, you probably have to charge a lot of money.
Yeah.
Does sound like a good deal.
Alright, Slippy, get over here. I guess they're gonna pay me.
I don't got it. I only got 25 mil.
They're gonna pay me for what I'm about to do to you.
He said if you cut your character. Yeah. If he
my
cuts,
God,
if Levi
no.
cuts his character.
Yeah.
He's asking about
I'm not
Sprinkles.
cutting
Say it
off my little
was.
cat penis.
Good.
Ain't doing that.
I mean, neuter and
Right.
spay
That
your
thing.
cats.
Sorry, it seems he has declined. It seems he has declined your generous offer. I'm sorry.
Gotta control the Khajiit population.
Generous for a reason.
So the pickaxe lands. Did he roll for that? I don't think he did.
No,
He hit a 6.
Hey.
Nice. He's rolling like fire.
Yeah.
So you hear it clunk into the stone ahead of you, and you don't seem to hear anything break, sift, or give way.
Nice.
He says, "It didn't move. I'm gonna try to step on it. Hang on to me."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My hand has not left him except for when we rolled poorly.
So go ahead, each of you roll a d6 again then. He hit a 5.
That's not good.
Well, it's a 1, though this time, he steps forward with you hanging on to him, and as he steps onto the stone, it doesn't move at all.
Nice.
So he's like, okay, it didn't move. We made it.
I like this plan. Let's keep doing this.
So he's going to go ahead and swing at the next one. Swing.
I'm going to cast Calm Heart on him first.
Okay, Calm Heart.
A little bit, because now we've got a plan. 1 AP and a D8, I think. Yeah. This D8 has been screwing me. So. That one's worse.
2. So putting a hand on his shoulder, say, let your heart be calm. Say, we're going to make it through this. He's like, and I swear on my very life, I will let no harm come to you.
Yes.
So, holding the pickaxe in his hands again, he's going to reel it forward again, taking a swing. He hits it like this, and, instantly, as soon as he hits it, you feel that brief rumbling sound as the ground moves for just a second. And you hear the shh, and then you hear as this one completely gives way as soon as he struck it.
Oh, man. We're walking across, stone and gravel. The top layer's gravel, so if we hit it, it falls through.
It seems, it seems that as soon as he struck that one, the whole square piece just fell right in. So yeah, if you want, you can mark that one too, if you would like.
Slacking on my marking.
So turning, he's going to strike the next one. With a 3, he strikes that one, ting, and you don't seem to hear anything move.
Nice.
So cautiously, with you hanging on to him, he's going to step. Well, this is him stepping to the side as you're stepping one forward. So as you're holding him, he's going like this. So which causes a bit of an awkward moment as you're transitioning from stone to stone. But he does sort of step over to it and land on it.
You might have to tell him you can't see the stones too. I don't know if you ever told him you're blind.
That's a good point. Hey, Ethan, I can't see, right? Like I'm blind as blind can be.
He's gonna turn and look at you, and he goes, "What?" He's like, I thought that was just something you told people.
I'm pretty good at it by now, but yeah, I've never seen your face before.
So, again, as this room, with every time you step on a stone, there's no telling whether it's going to give way to the pit below. And with Egan out ahead of you, testing each stone with his pickaxe, it is slow going as you're making your way from stone to stone in this room. About 25 feet long, or about 5 stones long, and it stretches forward about 2, 4, 6, 8. Well, yeah, it stretches forward about 8 long.
Okay. So we've got a ways to go still. Egan.
Yep, so it does seem to be slow going. Though, now that you seem to have found a good method for doing this, I will let, we can do the rolls faster as you two finish out your turns. Nice. So go ahead and roll for the next one. He hit a 6. So hitting a 6, he turns this way and strikes this one with the pickaxe, seeming that it's solid. He steps over with you still hanging on to the back of his cloakings, landing here. Going out ahead of him, he strikes his pickaxe out at the next one. A 3. Will you battle it? Knocks into a 5. So 5's enough to where he strikes the one ahead of him. Clang! It seems to be solid again. And so he cautiously steps forward, putting his weight on it ever so slightly until he steps forward on it with you still behind him, a fist full of his of the cloak on his shoulders. So as he swings at the next one with a 3, you knocked it into a 6. Let's go. He's gonna roll again. He's gonna roll again, trying to battle yours, but. Well, you remain a 3, and he hits the 5. So hitting this one, clang! It is that moment again where you hear you feel the ground underneath you buckle just a little bit as you hear crash, and then. Poof. So this one definitely gave way into the pit below.
Oh. Isn't this a great time, Ethan? Aren't we having fun?
Yeah, I don't know how to change the the auto mods and stuff on the chat. My methods in Twitch are still pretty new, so I'm not quite sure how to do that. And yeah, he didn't take your deal. I'm definitely sorry about that. Well, if you sweeten the pot, you know, maybe the mill will talk. Just maybe.
$1 million.
You might have to go into 4 digits if you want him to attempt something like that. So you identified that one. Yeah, as far as this room that they're in, again, it's about 4 to 5 foot square stones of varying colors of gray and dark gray and lighter gray, and he's Egan is out ahead of Irving, swinging at each stone piece with a pickaxe, because some of them will give way under literally no weight. And so they're slowly making their way through this room, testing each stone square around them as they're advancing. But we are going to, as you're preparing to make your way towards the rest of the room, we are going to cut over to Slippy and Sprankles.
Oh.
Let's see.
I heard butt, and I was like, oh no. But it's okay. It's okay.
So cutting back over to Slippy and Sprinkles, you're you're in the middle of this sand-filled room, and this massive sandworm has erupted straight up out of the sand. The amount of body that you can see that's exposed from the sand, is about 8 feet. So it's tall, as big around as a normal-sized tree, with thick dark green and dark black stripes in its scalings. Sand rustles off of it as it does this loud screeching, bleeding roar. It's these neck fins on it, all flaring out at the same time, making its head look even bigger and more imposing. It has looks like it has 1 or 2 rows of short, pointed, rounded, sharpened teeth as it rears at you up out of the sand. And
I yell over to Sprinkles. This will make for a good song.
Really, yeah.
And so you notice that the string that's around your waist, the fishing line, is still kind of on the ground here, all the way around to the fishing pole where Sprinkles is holding it. I don't know if that's going to have any bearing on this battle, but that is how y'all had set it up.
I had my bow out too.
You definitely did. And so as far as agility check, who will go first, or will you go at the same? You can go at the same time, or plot out your action then.
You gonna roll at the same time?
Yeah,
I'm just gonna try to shoot it with an arrow.
I'm gonna try to tackle it, like hop in its mouth.
So it's 8 foot tall as it's rearing out of the sand. So it'd have to be an 8 foot jump. And though it is a big sandworm, you wouldn't be able to jump cleanly into its mouth. It would almost have to grab you in its teeth and, work to chew to swallow you, to say it that way. Again, it's big around as a tree trunk, and so you don't think that you could fit all the way in its mouth without it trying to actually chew you up.
I'll just use predate armor for right now then.
Predate armor. A 7.
Oh.
You feel the outer exterior of your skin harden for a moment as your whole body just out about 3 inches. Those lines forming in your body as your skin sort of forms into these larger scale-like pieces, each one hardening and expanding out of your body as you bulk up from the force of the move.
And can I also use predate stockpile?
Ooh, you can use that when somebody hits you.
Oh, when they hit me, okay.
Yeah, to try to stockpile the power. But if Sprinkles wants to go ahead and take a shot, you can now. Its back is to you as it's rearing its head forward, looking at 4. 3. So the arrow, and as soon as it leaves the bow, there's that familiar illumination of the room and crackle of lightning magic as the arrow streaks, hitting it right in the back. Hits the back of it, and there's that moment where the electricity dances over the outside of it, crackling and sparking. Rearing back, its its whole body just seems to spin around a little bit as it now looks to see where that attack had come from. As soon as it sees you, standing there looking at it with your arrow twanged out in front of you, it lets out another deafening. Its neck fin things flaring out at you menacingly. And now in one bounding motion, it's going to lunge out of the sand completely, trying to get towards you. You're still standing at the edge of the stone, though. As far as that, you haven't stepped onto the surface of the sand in the room yet. But it's going to roll a 7, so it's definitely going to come all the way out, and you can see its full body now is about 12 feet long. As it comes out of the ground, out of the wet sand, lands once, and then swoops around like this to try to do a snapping bite at you. The bite itself will be a 5. Roll to jump back or evade.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to jump back.
Did Drum come with us?
No. That's a 2. So, holding your bow in this hand, you try to lunge back in this direction. It snaps out enough to where it actually gets a nipping bite with its large, massive, worm-like head onto this arm.
No.
Fight back.
Can I use dual stab?
Hold on. It's 3 damage.
Okay.
It bites in clean. Its blood wells up on the wound. You dart back out of range of it as it's beginning to rear itself back up to maybe either go onto the sand or get into a position where it can lash out and strike at you. But as it's doing that, go ahead and take another action.
That'll be help.
I'm gonna predate dart at it. Is this whole body out of the sand right now?
Yeah, it's easily 12. It's about 12 feet long.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna attempt to latch myself to it by darting forward at it.
All right, you have a little ground to cover. Go ahead. A 2. That move won't get you there as you bound and you cover about half the distance in one long 10-foot leap.
Predate to reroll the
All right, okay.
predate move.
Go ahead.
Get 2 attempts on a reroll for a D8 for any predate roll.
A 6, nice. That will get you there to where you land, leaping about 13 feet in one tremendous springing bound. Boing! You land in the sand just behind the end of its tail. You notice that along its back, and all over it, now that you're close enough to see it, it's got like these bumps or scales. Its scales itself are almost rounded and grooved away from its body, perhaps allowing it to move through the sand quicker. But you've landed right at its back as it snapped, and you hear Sprinkles yell out in pain as he leaps back or into the hallway. And it looks like it's about to rear its whole body up again, preparing for another strike. Go ahead and take an action.
I'm going to... So, is it still facing me?
Yeah, its all body is like here in a bit of a twist, as it's got half of its body reared up from the bite, and it was preparing to either do it again or to throw itself further into the hallway.
I'm going to keep backing up, and then I want to take another shot.
Okay. So, stepping back again, you coolly knock an arrow, and as you draw it up, yeah, it looks like it's, either trying to coil its body up, preparing for a move, or getting ready to pounce or move at you. Go ahead.
Hit it good enough and stop it.
5, nice. Hit a 2. There's the arrow, and you draw it back. This time, because you're in the hallway, the light is dramatic and immediate in all the hallway. It glows for just a moment, that bright yellow magic. Lightning leaps from the head of the arrow with the bow, covering the distance. It was only about 8 feet between you two as you leapt back and shot the bow. So it does hit it 3 or 4 feet below its mouth, right? And it's the bit of the midsection as it's rearing up. Again, it strikes it. The lightning magic sort of dances around it for just a moment. Some of it crackling and arcing onto the ground or against the walls here, and dissipating away. Now the arrow is sunk into its body. It lets out another roar again, and you notice that as it's like, it looked like it was going to try to coil and spring at you, but for some reason, it doesn't. It almost stops short of where the stone threshold is, as if for some reason it doesn't seem it's going to advance any farther. But But from there, it's going to letting out a hissing sound. It's going to go, and as it flared and it has like these spines that have like webbed skin in between each of them. So when normally it keeps it set back against its head, but then when it does its roar, the whole thing flares out like a big webbed thing around its head. It goes flaring its neck netting out, and it seems to spit some kind of white goo at you out of its mouth.
Roll the die.
It rolled a 1. 6. Rolled again.
Let's get it.
Stepping out of the way, it sprays at the floor at where you were just standing, and splashes. It looks like whatever it was. You can tell that it stinks.
Nice. Can I shoot it again?
You fired. Well, it attacked. You failed that dodge, darted back, and fired. So it is going to get another turn. Well, actually, no. I'll give Slippy one more turn before it comes back around to each of you.
All right.
I'm gonna attempt to latch onto it and cast Zap on myself.
Okay.
Where that tail end was of the worm.
So hopping up onto, and again, its tail at the end is only about this big, and then it widens out. You can hop on the back fifth of its body, and as you again focus on the inside of your body, your core, the middle of your being, you focus on casting the Zap spell. Go ahead. A 1. The jolt of electricity comes down right over your head. It almost goes over you as it cascades lightning, flashing the room for just a moment from the power of the magic. Though on a 1, it does crackle down on you and cascade around you. You take 1 damage, and the worm didn't seem to be affected at all. Now that you've hopped on its back, it's going to almost instinctively, you can feel its body shifting and moving underneath you as its whole head is going to coil around looking at you. There's that moment where it turns, looks at you, and immediately dives forward in a motion to either bite you or grab you with its mouth. That's a 2. Roll to evade. A 4. So you're going to have to hop off of it. As you hop off to the side, as it snaps in that spot where you were just at. Landing off to the side of it now, its whole body seems to be coiled a little bit underneath it. None of it's really in the sand at this point, but it's rising up, about 6 feet tall as it spun around to snap at you and you dodged. Go ahead, Sprinkles.
I'm gonna shoot it again.
6. Roll it again. 4. So with its head turned around, snapping its Slippy, you're able to take a moment, try to aim higher up towards its body. This time, as the lightning magic jumps out, as the arrow streaks, covering it the 8 foot of distance between the two of you, it strikes it full on in its side, about a foot below where the side of its head is. Boom! Lightning dances off of the wound, up against the sides of the walls, arcing up and down for a moment. This time you hit it a little higher up, closer to where its neck is. And so you can definitely tell as soon as you struck it, the lightning danced over the top and part of its body, some of it hitting the sand and arcing around the walls around you, that it now has some kind of a dark green ooze welling out from its skin. It's bleeding. So as the two of you are continuing to try to dodge and battle and evade its attacks, come back over to where Egan and Slippy are cautiously navigating through this treacherous room from stone block to stone block, trying their best to get through. We'll definitely... Look, you know what? You're not the first person. You're not the first person to say that. I'm just going to put that out there. Some people say Levi has a charmed life.
I'm just living like Levi.
Look, that's where the terms come from. We're all just trying to be living like
That's
Levi.
right.
That's
Yeah.
well, hey, we're all trying. Someday we'll get there.
It's also an anagram for evil.
Is Levi an anagram for evil?
No.
It's also an anagram for live.
Exactly.
Ooh, but it's also an anagram for vile. Mmm. So with Egan out in front of you, he's been striking the stone block pieces around him with the pickaxe, and some of them have been giving away the 25 feet down to the spiked bone-filled pit below the room, and other ones have been solid, allowing him to step across them. So now, as he looks at the hole out in front of him, he hasn't struck the one to his left or his right yet. Which one should he attempt?
Righty tighty, lefty loosey, and I'm feeling pretty loosey goosey.
Let's go left. Where do they say that at?
So he's going to turn, and he's going to... Oh, what you said, dice. Which one of these is yours?
Oh, this one.
Okay. He's gonna swing at that one with a 4, and striking it, it lets out a solid clang and doesn't seem to move at all. So as the two of you step forward at the same time, roll. He rolls a 4. And wow,
4.
Nice. As the two of you step in unison now from one step to the next, you're certainly getting used to the cadence of his movements and the swinging of his pickaxe, to where you're navigating through this room much quicker. And you noticed it was what looked like it may have been a double set of wooden doors. As he's explaining it to you, it's like I can see. It looks like two wooden doors, but they look rotted. Half of one is worn away off of the hinge.
Well, we've got a lit torch, so we'll just set it on fire. Worst comes to worst.
Nice. So now he could go straight ahead, or he could turn to the right, or he could attempt the one diagonally.
Let's attempt diagonal first.
So he's going to swing his pickaxe at that one, and with a 2, as soon as he strikes it, it lets a clang, and then you hear that brief cracking motion of the stone around it, and the ground subtly shifting for a moment as it, and then you hear as it totally gives way an open square-shaped hole there. I'm going to use a marker.
Oh, yep.
So now, he says, let me get an intelligence check on Egan. What's his intelligence?
It is a 3.
Well, he rolled a 6. Let's go.
Hey.
So looking straight ahead, he says, it's got to be this one. It's got to be. He's going to swing with the pickaxe, a 1. It clangs hard, but he lets it slip from his grasp, and the pickaxe lands here and skitters over to the edge of this stone piece right here. He let go of it.
Did you lose my pickaxe, Ethan?
He says, it's right there. Let me just get it.
Be careful.
So there's both of you step over at the same time.
Oh, no.
Well, he seems to be getting more confident now as he kind of steps away from your grasp as you're moving.
Egan, I can't see.
Reaching down, he slowly reaches down to pick up the pickaxe and succeeds. So now that he has it back in his hands, he strikes out again in front of him. A 6.
Egan, woman.
Hitting this one, it lets out a similar clanging sound, but you don't hear the sound of any rocks falling away or any shifting of any earth below you. So as the two of you step forward, go ahead. He steps forward again with you, having you feel it, but his cloak pulling away as he's stepping. He's getting a little more confident or doing it a little more quickly.
Yes.
So he lands here, and he kind of looks around him for a moment. He says, which way should I go?
Well, I really don't know how far we are away from the door, so let's try to take the quickest route to there first, and if it doesn't work out, we'll go another way.
It says, it's just right up here. We have one more row of these stones to go.
Okay. Well, let's just go with the stone closest to the door, and we'll see if it falls away, and if it doesn't, we're golden. If it does, we'll go a different way.
So he's going to strike the one out directly in front of him with a 4. He swings at that one, and you hear again, boom, the crack of the pickaxe, and then you hear the familiar breaking of rock for that moment, and then the whoosh as it falls away, and then a whoomph as all that earth and rock hits the bottom of the pit below you.
All right. Well, let's go to the one next to that.
So turning, he's going to swing at this one.
Oh, man.
With a 1. He swings and he clangs it. And this time again, perhaps his hands are getting sweaty, or swinging this so many times is starting to affect his muscles and make him tired. But this time as he swung again and it clanged, you didn't feel anything shift or anything break or give away. But again, he lets go of the pickaxe and it comes sliding off in this direction. But it slides over onto this stone piece. It slid over on top of it, and then there's that moment where he was expecting it to give way, but it didn't.
Oh, okay. All right, Egan.
Got him working.
You're gonna get stronger. That's just how this is gonna work. So what I need you to do is lay down on the one that you hit, and just reach over really easily and pick up your pickaxe.
He says,
"This is the only way that we have safe to get across."
He says, okay, I'm going to try it. A 4. So he's able to lie down on his stomach and slide forward onto this stone. He then reaches forwards to grab the pickaxe off the stone across from it. He hit a 6. So reaches over. He reaches over, and as he just barely gets his hands on it, and he goes to pull it away, this rock piece all of a sudden cracks, crumbles, and gives way as he's holding the pickaxe over it for a second. Letting out a bit of a cry as he reels back, sliding back away from this stone, still holding on to the pickaxe. He gets a little close to this edge that's given away, and he looks over and he just kind of freezes for a moment as he's kind of like panicking because he almost kind of went over the other direction.
Good job, Egan. Good job.
Standing up,
You're doing well.
this one's given away.
Oh.
And so as he turns, he takes the pickaxe one last time and goes to swing at the ground. And with a 2, it clangers up against it. And as he's holding the pickaxe down at his feet, his breath coming in long gasps. He wipes sweat away from his face as he finally makes as both of you make the last step forward. He hit a 5.
Nice. Shit. Shenanigans, dude.
What are people talking about?
I can't even see because of the truck.
Yeah, someone had challenged him to do something for some in-game money, though he declined. They were they split up and they're working their way through this dungeon. Egan and Irving are making their way through a treacherous room, while Slippy and Sprinkles are fighting a sandworm on another part of the dungeon.
Or slipping lobs.
Yeah, he declined, but perhaps if a better deal comes along, maybe he'll reconsider, but...
Maybe.
Dang, he said maybe.
So
So taking the last step, he...
Price.
Holding his torch out, he peers into the room ahead of him, and he says, "It's all that. It's just a little room with an old box in it."
Well, let's check what's in the box, dude. They obviously wanted to protect it.
So as he steps, and he has to like push one of the broken, and it's like half worn off the top, missing the top half, the bottom half hanging weakly, and the other one is like worn and rotted, and so it's only a third of the door hanging off the hinges. As he steps through it, with you walking in behind him, he explains that it's an incredibly small room, only maybe about 10 by 10, with a it's got regular looking smooth stone floor, the same gray brick set walls, only about a 6-foot high ceiling. He says over at the edge of the room there's what looks like a wooden box that's sitting on a stone pedestal.
All right, Egan. First question I have is, does the mineral change in the stone continue into this room, or is it all just?
No, it's smooth, flat stone.
Good deal. Good deal. Let's see what's in that box.
He says, "Can I open it?"
Okay, dude, you did all of the work.
As he's stepping closer to it now, you can hear his breath coming in quicker breaths as he's eagerly approaching this box on this stone pedestal. You hear as he opens it up, and he peers inside, and he goes, "It's clothing."
Oh, pull it out, man.
You hear him say, "Well, it's somebody's robes."
Oh. Oh, I thought I had seen some enchantment. I don't. I have it on the other character. Well, sweet, dude. Is it like glowing? Does it look nice? Does it feel smooth?
He's like, "They're red robes with patterns on the cuffs and along the border. It looks like it's well made."
Nice. Well, sweet, man. Does it fit you?
It's like, "Oh, these are way too big for me."
Cool. Well, go ahead and put them into your inventory, and we'll try to catch up with the other guys.
Yeah. So
Like,
he's
You should try to put it
I'll try and put them on. They're kind of yours, but I'll try and put them on. If they fit, then thank you.
he holds them out to you, and there's no opening or spots in the back for your wings to come out of them. You'd have to kind of conceal your wings if you put them on, and it's. And as he hands them to you, you can tell it's made out of a nice, finely woven fabric. But putting your arms through and putting it on like this, it fits you rather well. He described it as a dark crimson red robes with darker red or almost black symbols and trim around the collars and the neckline and the bordering at the bottom. Roll a d6 as you put it on.
Hey, let's do it. What do I want? This last little one. It's a 2.
Put it on. You feel a tingle of some kind of magic about the robes, so you can definitely tell that there's some kind of magic laid within. Also, the robe has pockets on the inside, and it's got pockets. It's got pockets on the outside too. So as you go to put them on, and you go to move it around you and test it, you hear the crinkling of something inside the inside pocket.
I'm searching the pockets.
So you instinctively reach inside the pocket, and your hands crinkle around something paper. Long, thin. It must be a small slip of paper that's been rolled up.
Could be a scroll.
It is a scroll.
Hey.
How do you even read it?
On the magic scroll, the magic robe.
Is it in Braille?
I give it to you.
So handing it to him, he says, "Oh, it's a scroll." He says it's got some twine wrapped around it.
Wow. Nice.
So you can put it in his inventory, or if you'd rather him do something else with it.
No,
Or,
I'm gonna.
okay.
Because if he reads it, he's probably gonna go off. Right?
If it's one of those one-time magic use spells, then yes, he wouldn't know, and he'll be like, "Fireball the room," and then I'll.
Dude, that'd be the worst. I didn't ask what size the room was. Nice.
Oh, thank y'all for rating us. We definitely appreciate it. DB3212, look, you're an absolute legend, and thank you so much for jumping in and hitting us with a raid. We always appreciate that. And welcome everyone to StevieMillPlays, where we're playing a custom TTRPG that I made the bottom up with 100% new and unique rules. It does play like D&D, but there's actually no D&D systems laid within. It's called the Progressive D6 system, and we're playing this Return to Argela campaign. Where there, we've got to be at least, 16 to 20 sessions in by now. We're on part 3 of episode 11, To Dungeon or Not to Dungeon. And so they've been working their way through these sewer-esque dungeons deep below Rekopa Castle City. A castle and a city that was built out into the desert for some reason. So as they're navigating this dark sewer-like dungeon, they've been encountering enemies and traps and dangers along the way. Irving, the avian monk, and the NPCs, Eeg and the goblin, have just got through a room that was pretty difficult. arriving and getting some treasure out of a chest. So now that you've got the robes out of that box and the mysterious scroll that laid within, it is going to cut right back over to Sprinkles and Slippy's turn. During their turn, they had actually bisected. The group had split up in the dungeon, if you can believe such a thing. They had split up in the dungeon, and they found themselves in a room that was nothing but wet sand for the floor. And as they tried to navigate it, or I should say, as Slippy lured himself out into the center of the room, a looming sandworm erupted from the sand and is fighting them at the entrance of the room.
He was attempting to fish.
The sandworm, dark black and green with striped scales, about 12 feet long, semi-coiled, striking at Sprinkles as he stood in the entranceway, with Slippy bounding up behind it to try to attack it and run interference. So now that we're back to your turn, this worm snapped at him violently, to which you lunged back and shot it with another bow strike. So now
Good day. We're gonna have to fight that dragon.
they growing big down here, y'all.
Yeah. It was like this big, dude.
I have the window all the way open. It's a beautiful night out tonight.
It is. It feels good.
But that just means that the mosquitoes come in. That mosquito could probably clock you over the head and take your wallet.
Yeah, for real. It's a mugging.
I think it was like a mayfly.
Probably.
So now that we've got the stage set, the two of you have the same agility, and so will you take your turns one after the other, or will you take your turns at the same time? How will you deliberate your attack? As this coiled sandworm, impressively 8 foot tall, semi-coiled, is preparing to spring at you.
I'm gonna predate kick it.
And what were you gonna do?
I'm shooting my bow.
Firing an arrow. You're gonna predate kick. A 5 and a 4. So you struck it, and it was preparing to, you dealt damage, though with its massive size and body, it didn't seem to notice the attack, though you did notice that you caused it to bleed. It was going to...
My bad. It was a D8.
Oh, changing your fate. Right out of the box.
Would you?
I can't escape from changing fate. 5.
Oh, you guys both got 5s. So you stepping closer, you can already see Slippy lunging towards the lower half of its body, right up against the sand, as you're knocking another arrow. And what's the name of your bow?
The Thunderbolt.
The Thunderbolt bow. So as soon as you draw the arrow up and you release it, and you hear that familiar twang, the whole passageway in front of you lights up with yellow electric magic as it streaks over and, well, let's see if this sandworm rolls a 5 as well. So you do hit it, although because it was lunging at the same time that Slippy was diving towards it, the arrow glanced off the side of it up and away. Glancing off of its skin. As it was lunging towards you, you were lunging at it. You strike it hard with a kick right in the lower section of its body. I mean, it's as big around as a regular-sized tree, so its whole body doesn't move a bit, but the kick lands square right into it. Boom. And then looking up at it, it's directly above you as it moves its body to halfway coil around you and strike down at you at the same time. It rolled a 6.
Well, I don't get a chance to battle.
No, you can't battle this one. You're right in its. You're right in. Oh no! Oh no! A 3. You tried to dart out of the way.
Is my predate armor still in effect?
It is.
Oh,
It is. So you feel its mouth grab around a third of your body. As you feel yourself being lifted up into the air, you're not taking any damage because of your armor and how hard your skin is. But as Sprinkles is watching, his mouth slacking open for a moment, it lunges down and actually lifts Slippy up into the air. Slippy's a slime, so he's a little. Say he's not fully humanoid height. He's only most times about 4 feet tall, wider around than a human, of course. And so he reached out with his teeth and grabbed you up in that one moment. And so he's kind of got you on the side like this, lifting you up 5-6 feet up off the ground. And then there's that one moment where you can feel the teeth, starting to crunch down and clench. You're not taking any damage because of your predate move, but he's putting pressure on your body as he's trying to crunch his teeth into you.
gonna use predate infect. So it's like he's biting into a poison rock slime.
I thought it was
It's
going
a
to
big
be.
one.
A 1. It's unless you use your raving predate to re-roll it.
Yeah, please, dude, you got it.
A 5.
I'm gonna attempt to roll one more time. Maybe.
Is it your last one? It's your last one?
That is my last one.
7. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
So you would have to kind of put your hand inside of its mouth for this really to work. But as you lean over in that moment while you're floating up in the air in its mouth, you put your hand and wedge it in there between its teeth and your skin. You can feel that its teeth are shorter, like a shark's, more rounded than sharp, as they're grinding into your skin, trying to break through the outer layer. Reaching into its mouth, you can feel it's hot and wet. But as the poison literally sort of flows out of your hand into its mouth, it gags, chokes for a moment. Was gonna do that thing where, you know how an animal like lunges up to try to like swallow you and get you more in its mouth. It was going to do that, but you leaked poison down its throat at the same time. So,
Get him.
and so instead of trying to crunch your body more or swallow you more, it then sort of casts you down onto the ground. You land on your side, thump into the sand. Take 1d4 halved bludgeoning damage, 4 halved, take 2 damage. But it gags for a moment, you know, as some of that poison wells up out of its mouth as it tried to spit it up. It didn't succeed. And as you're stepping closer into the entranceway to the room now, because it's luring its whole body around, some of it still coiled underneath it, as it's now looming over him lying prone on the ground, looking like it's going to reach down again to try to bite him. And because that was 2 turns of your predate armor, it's worn off now. As your body's starting to shift and settle in back to its normal size. Sprinkles, go ahead.
Can I shoot in the back with my water bow? It's called Bow of Raining Arrows.
Yeah,
Maybe the water will have more of an effect on it.
go ahead.
Water is super effective against ground types.
Ooh,
A 2.
not with a 2.
Stepping towards it, you aim directly at the back of its head. As soon as you fire the arrow, the water magic springs forth as water comes out of seemingly nowhere at the tip of the arrow, in a bit of a round sphering motion, but it's angled because the arrow is streaking towards the back of its head. On a 2, it hits the back of its head but glances up, flying up, spiraling and landing over here somewhere. The water splashing over the back of its head and falling down around it.
Try it again.
Go ahead. Nice. This time, because it is, you know, it didn't seem bothered or phased at all by that attack. So as you step closer now, pulling the bow up, lining it up with the center of its body, you fire the arrow. And this time the water that blasts out of it is stronger, more intense. As it covers the distance in between you and him instantly, splish! The arrow sinking in, the water splashing around the outside of it, enough to where while you're hitting the ground and it's looming over you, you see the water now splash over its midsection. Some of it splashes onto you and into the sand. The arrow stuck in, and sunk in a good majority, halfway into its body.
First time I've seen rain in the desert.
The sandworm, lets out another billowing cry, and as it does, some of the poison sprays out of its mouth that was in its throat and going down its body. As it was about to reach down and snatch you up, it's going to spin around again, and as it looks at you, it's going to flare its head fins out once and twice again, and do that same spitting movement at you. But as it hurls up this white foaming liquid and goes to spit it at you, you notice now that it seems to be black and inky with poison.
What's he mean by that?
Oh, you know what it means.
Because it means you just made the sandworm venomous sandworm.
With a 1. A 3.
Nice.
So you do have to leap back as it splatters in a black and white streaking mass of spittle up on the stone at your feet. Yeah, sure enough, it's that same white, thick, foamy stuff it had spit out before, but it was all gobbed in with the poison that it had swallowed earlier in the turn. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So as it did the spit move and you doubled back, as Slippy's working to get back to its feet, it's going to spin back around in its attack towards him. But before that, we come back around to Egan and Irving. You had successfully kind of looted that room and got a magical cloak of some kind, and you found a scroll within the pockets.
Nice. Egan, take that box too.
Egan has a wooden box.
All right, let's make our way back to the room where we slept.
I don't know if we will. I think because it was going to be a shorter session. It's going to probably play through this, and you'll probably end up in an area, or once we get through this section here, we can either. I mean, we may just stop because it may be closer to time by that point. But yeah, because we're going to do a shorter session. I don't think we'll do an intermission while we're in the middle of fighting and everything else. He looted the wooden box, and so it's
nice. I've got it.
Just an empty room now with a stone column coming up at the end at the other side of the room.
Nice. Just for curiosity's sake, push on the stone column.
He presses on the stone column. Nothing happens.
Cool. All right. Well, let's leave.
As you go to leave, he says, "Wait, why did you ask me to do that?"
Sometimes pedestals, they have buttons hidden. It was worth a try. Let's leave.
He's sort of muttering under his breath, "Oh, what if it fell away?"
Wouldn't that have been cool?
So, as the two of you turn to go back out, he's going to suggest that you walk back along the same pattern of stones that you had walked across the first time that he knew were safe.
I concur.
So as you slowly make your way back along the stones, it's easier this time because you knew which ones you had hit and which ones you hadn't. Turning this way, he's going to get to this point, and he's going to be like, "Oh, wait, was it right here or was it forward? I can't remember."
Yeah, I think it was forward. Let's just do the pickaxe to be safe.
He's going to swing the pickaxe with a 5. It's going to clang against the one right in front of him, and as soon as he clangs it, it gives way instantly. The rock falling, you hear and then.
Can you just see on the squares where you hit them before?
They're big, and with the torchlight, it throws light around you, but the marks wouldn't be so obvious that you'd be able to notice them.
I got you. All right, go back to your right. Ethan.
So this one's fallen away.
Yeah, there we go.
Turning this way, he steps forward, then stepping this way, and then this way, and then straight forward, and then as he kind of steps forward and leaps back into this hallway, he's like, we made it. He's like, I know for a fact that the others don't have it nearly as bad as we do.
Yeah, dude, we almost died a few times. Let's go meet back up and tell them what we've seen. We don't know what's going on over there. We're just having a conversation.
So it takes you back around the corner, back into the wide open, cool, somewhat drafty ventilation room. With the stairway leading down, which is the direction that Slippy and Sprinkles had went some time ago.
Let's get there ASAP. Would we hear any of the fighting going on at this point? Would we know to hurry or just...
No, you're too far away to even know what's going on. Okay. Bring the room in a little bit. So coming back around to your turn, I can queue up. Let's be slow.
Got to work tomorrow. So, we'll see.
Cue up the battle music.
I was actually about to order some pizza too.
Oh,
Nice.
sounds good.
So coming back around to Slippy and Sprinkles. Sprinkles has been doing a pretty good job hitting with arrows and dealing damage to it, and keeping it distracted enough for you to try to get in and get some close range attacks in. But it's going to take this, the worm is going to go first this turn again, and try to make a movement like this to coil the majority of its body around you in a quick slithering movement across the sand with a 3. Yeah? What about that?
Was it 3?
Oh, a 1. So as you spin around to try to get a sense of where its head is at, let me get out my other item for this. Out here. So let's see. So you're standing here. Its body is like this. Oh. With his head up here like this. Flaying out. Let's see. Squares. Nice. So its head is like this as it's coiling halfway around you. Its other body trailing out this way. See. There you go. You can see the lines in the grid. So it's managed to get all the way around you and be coiled up to where now its body is really all around you. It's as big around as a tree trunk, but you know its whole body, as far as how long it is only about like 2 or 2.5 feet around. So you're kind of watching as it spins its body around, as its head is coiled up, as it's preparing to kind of close in around you to strike. Go ahead.
I have one last use of predate armor. But I feel like it's gonna try to lunge at me and eat me, so I'm gonna use predate slash since it's around me.
Go ahead.
And that's 2 1d4s. I'll be
I keep taking it. I keep stealing it.
It's a silver dagger.
With a 3 and a 1. So bringing both weapons out, because it's so close to you, you just try to spin around. Your one weapon, the other one, you know, on the one, kind of went against the flat side and drug up away from its body. But the other one in your left hand, definitely, as you swing around in this motion, it cuts deep into the inside of its body where its scales are, and you cause a bit of a cut like this along them as you spin around. Wailing, it's going to, instead of trying to do a constricting motion on you, you see its whole body start to shrink away a couple of inches as its massive mouth now comes striking down at you with a 3. Battles it into a 6. Thank you, sir. You hit a 4. So yeah, it is going to go down right over the top of you. Bam! It didn't, I'll say it's going to begin to lift you up. You're about a foot above the ground, 2 feet now, but its mouth is firmly over the top of your body. You can see nothing but the inside of its mouth, and you can see its teeth around your outside of your waist. As it lifts you up, the bite deals another 1d4 halved. Well, 1 divided by 1, rounded up, is 1 damage. So as it comes around to Sprinkle's turn, you watched it quickly and smoothly coil its way around him, rearing up to strike. It then grabbed him and is lifting him up.
Can I run up to it and use dual staff?
Yes.
Get the fish around.
What a fight that would.
The range will be 1.
I roll them at the same time.
You can, yeah, you can. Go ahead.
Can I roll them separately?
Well, if it's dual stab, they're both happening at the same time. 2 and a 5. Running up to it, you leap at the because its lower half of its body coiled around with its head up like this. So I actually have it like this. So reach out to bite him and it's lifting him up. So as you rush up towards, I guess, yeah, running around towards the back of its head while it's got Slippy and it's lifting him up. You lunge up with your daggers, one grazing and sliding off the side, the other one sinking firmly into the back of its scales. As it's continuing to lift him up, you feel yourself getting lifted a little bit above the ground. As its massive strength is now lifting you up with the dagger still in its back.
Can I try like using my weight to like try to slice it down?
Letting out a yell, you put your other hand on it and try to add weight to your body to drag the blade down. Go ahead and roll d6. 6. Roll it again.
I'm going inside.
Let's
A second 6. Is it time? Is it time? What a move! What a move! What a roll! 3 6s in a row.
Rip and tear, bro.
So yeah, as you feel the knife sliding, opening up, flaying open its skin, you're dragging down, you're covering the foot in half till you're back on the ground. Putting your hand on your wrist, you then jerk the dagger down another 2 feet.
Oh my god.
Green, oozing blood splashes out all over your face, all over the front of your armor, and all over your clothes. As you see its vertebrae and its flesh. You see veins. Is all laid out in front of you as you cut it open, about 4 feet long. Letting go of you, dropping you. It goes to rear its head back. Its neck fins flaring out in agony as it's wailing up towards the ceiling. It was then going to try to lure around to try and hit you, or to bring its neck around, but instead its body just sort of crashes down towards you as it tries to fall and spin towards you. It is the weight of its body, so it's your d6 against its d8. It rolled a 7. Oh, you picked up a skill. At the end of the battle, you picked up a skill, which I'm going to give you.
Okay.
A 3. Its whole body weight crashes down on you, knocking you down and away into the corner of the room, into the wet sand. Now its whole body is right over the bottom half of your body, with its head right over on your chest. Its mouth about this wide. Its teeth just, some of that white foaming stuff dripping out between its teeth. As it snaps once and snaps twice weakly, it landed on you with enough of its body to where it hit you and pinned you down, dealing 5 damage.
So while it's right here in front of me, with its head like this, would it be possible to use my raving garrote, which I have never been able to use yet? Can I use that in this situation?
Its head is on top of you. You'd have to almost be over its head, and it's about this big around, so you'd have to reach over like this to try to.
Like hug it.
Yeah, you'd have to hug it. You'd have to. Yeah, you would. You would. I want to thank everyone who gave a follow too while we were playing and fighting. Definitely appreciate that. As we are on the road to 50 followers, which is pretty amazing if we could get to 50. So definitely thank everyone who gave us a follow tonight, and make sure you go over to the YouTube page as well. There's a link in my bio, and you can check out any of the previous episodes, and get caught up with everything that's been going on. You can see why they're down in this sewer-like dungeon, facing off against this sandworm. So now with its body half laying across yours, pinning you into the sand.
To use dual stab instead? Like stab it there?
Go ahead. It's got 2 eyes. Why don't you aim for one of each?
Hey.
2 swords and 2 eyes.
Well, at this range, you'd almost have to certainly use short-bladed weapons.
Yeah, I have my formed dagger.
Okay. A 3 and a 6. Roll it again.
When I get 6s, it says more attacks on 6s. So do I roll the bonus?
Roll for the bonus first, and then for an extra attack.
Okay, here's the bonus.
Extra attack.
I'll roll for my extra attack.
So as you draw your daggers out and you start stabbing random places as its head snapping, drawing closer towards you. One grazes across its snout, one sinks into the side of its face, and the third one plunges into its eye. Thump.
Nice. Let's go.
it goes to roll and get off of you as you feel its body slinking away from you. You pull the knife out, and it lets out a shuddering, weeping. It tries to flutter its neck fin out, but it weakly is only able to do so faintly.
Can I hiss back at it?
Yeah, you
Like,
roll d6. A 5.
I'm the one who hisses.
Hissing angrily at it, as it sloughs off of your body, trying to reel up, falling over, trying to reel up again, and falls over again. You get back up to your feet, and you realize that 4-foot-long cut you made along its body has been oozing blood over here in a large pool in the sand for the last couple of seconds, as its lifeblood was literally rushing out of it. So now it weakly flops over like this and flops over again, as its whole body is sort of trembling and shuddering.
it's dying. Now can I use my Raven Girl? Well, never mind. I don't have nothing.
So now it's you. The both of you can take a tandem turn to try to finish it off.
You want to use work together and then try to kill it?
You won't have time to premeditate or work together.
I'm gonna use predate fangs and predate glutton to try to eat it since it was trying to eat me.
Okay.
I guess I'll just keep stabbing. I'm not going to use dual stab.
This one's gonna be for predate fangs.
Okay. Predate fangs is a 5. Beautiful. 6.
Just the stabbing. Regular old stab.
Well, as you lunge forward, your already black, green, bloody blades, wet with its blood, start stabbing it about its head and neck as he leaps up onto the back of it, as from his mouth these large fangs just start protruding, made out of his body's mass. He then bites into the side of it, cleanly, just sinking his large fangs into it. You're gonna use your
And glutton is also 1d8. This is
6. So as you start to try to, as your body is sitting over it, you try to slowly settle on top of it to work to absorb and drink in its body mass. As soon as you do, you get you get an incredible rush of power from it, like a jolt of energy that hits you. You get a move. You get a 3-a-day move on a 1d8 called predate. Predate. I'll call it. Give it a move for what it does. Called Predate Ground Slink. If you're in the dirt or in the sand or underground, you can use this 3 times a day to effortlessly slide through the dirt underground the way a sandworm would.
Sick.
But then, it
But I don't get like a tremor sensor or the ability to see down there or anything. I just have to.
no, you just have the ability to propel your body forward in it the way a sandworm would be with fluidity.
Okay.
And as as Sprinkles continues to stab it over and over again in its head and over its face, it eventually just shudders one last time and stops moving.
Let's go.
Nice. Way to go, dude.
That was pretty cool too.
Oh, isn't that like what a... I don't break it out all the time, but for stuff like that, where I want to keep track of enemies.
Sense. Like, it was a good time to use it.
Yeah.
Do we get experience rolls for it?
Yeah. As it finally stops moving and dies, that each of you get 15 experience.
Nice.
You want to chop it up and have a little picnic, right?
So Irving and Egan get down to the bottom of those steps from the ventilation room. You arrive at an intersection going right and left.
We don't hear anything because the fighting's over now.
Just try calling for us.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's any cat hairs or slime left by.
Yeah, can I use a blind sense to see if I can smell them?
Blind sense, go ahead.
4.
A 4. So you take a deep breath. It's just so wet and damp smelling down here. It's hard for you to really try to pick out a feline odor.
All right. Then in that case, I'm feeling loosey-goosey, so let's go lefty-loosey.
So as you go left, Egan holding the torch out in front of him, he says, the gutters in this room go down really deep. It's like strange. He describes the room as wet, the stone smooth floor being wet and moldy here, with some moss covering it in some spots. You continue walking down that path, down this corridor, until Egan holds his hand out for you to stop. He says, "Oh, it's a wall here, but it's strange." He says, "It's only about stone halfway up, and the other half looks like it's a sheet of metal instead." He says, "And there's a big lever over in the corner." He's going to do an investigation check.
Yeah.
A 4. He's going to say, "It's wet. It's wet up against the side of this room. There's water dripping from the ceilings, and it's a little bit of water pooled out in front of the bottom of the end of the room. So it's the stone room itself. The stone comes up halfway, and that's a big sheet of metal, a big solid piece of it covering up that second half. And then there's a lever, a literal metal lever that's like a 3 foot long lever that's up there against the corner of the room."
Okay. I think that the original plan was to split up and just search right now, so we're not really like trying to get back together, are we? Technically.
Keep exploring.
Yeah. So pull the lever, Kronk.
He says, "Okay, I'm gonna pull it." He he walks up to it, and as he puts his hands on it and goes to pull on it, he's like, is it stuck? I can't move it."
Let's both try.
Both of you roll d6 together.
Can we work together? Does he have work together? Absolutely not.
Try to learn it.
It has to be more than another one person there. He rolls a 1 on that.
Jeez. Let's go.
A 4 and then a 1. So as you walk up to where he's at and kind of get a feel for where the lever's at, you notice, it's about 3 feet long, made out of, it was maybe metal at one point, but it's long been rusted over. Really rusty, in fact, as if, at one point perhaps it was maybe submerged in water, as strange as that would seem. But then as the two of you grab the lever and you go to start pulling it, it finally makes a creak as you're pulling it. You can automatically hear, as soon as you do, gears turning somewhere behind the wall. Clunk, 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 chink, clunk, clunk, as you're pulling the lever back. Do you continue pulling it?
I mean, it's scary, but yeah.
Pulling it, clunk, all of a sudden it gets to a point where it's clear, and you pull it the rest of the way. Clang, rust breaks off of it and falls away. You then hear gears going chunk, 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 as now you start to hear something like, and the whole floor below you is shaking for just a moment.
You can back up.
He starts backing up as he's saying, the metal plate, it's giving way. He's like, there's water coming out of the edges.
Maybe we made a mistake. Let's just get back out of this room.
So both of you roll a speed roll. He rolls a 4. A 1. So as he takes off sprinting down the corridor which you came from, you start running after him. But you have to be careful though, because there's deep gutters on each side, so you don't want to run to the edge or you may fall in. And so you have to kind of trying to run in a straight line with both hands out at each sides in case they hit the walls. You then all of a sudden hear the immense sound of water rushing behind you. You can hear Egan's footsteps out ahead of you. As all of a sudden, as you're running, you can already feel the lapping and splashing of water against the back of your wings and the back of your legs as you're running.
It's pouring out.
As Slippy and Sprinkles are standing over the sandworm's body, examining it, you then start to feel the ground start to rumble for just a moment. You then hear the sound of the rushing of water coming from the direction of the passageway you walked in from. As you both peer back through it, and it's a bit of a wall here where there's that greatway that you opened up. So looking at you, you can swear you see somebody. Is it Egan? Oh, he's running. He's sprinting. He's running frantically. He ran past the first passageway where the steps were that you came down.
Playing the approach.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I figured out. Oh God, nice.
An 8. Roll it again.
Hey. I figured out why the gutters are so deep.
So you play it. Thrum 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 thrum. You know, and the magical effect sort of seeps out from the song, granting a temporary speed boost. Egan's feet, almost leave the ground in that one moment, as he's running, and he dives straight through that open grate cover that you'd opened up. He dives straight through it. You then hear the heavy footsteps of Irving running behind him, but you can already see behind him, almost like a wall of water rushing through the causeway, which that's what it is.
Those things are bad.
It then he doesn't get there fast enough, as the water then sweeps into him, lifting his feet up off the ground as his back is against the wall of water, as it's now pushing him forward down the passageway. Egan lands, comes back up, and looking behind you, coming out to the room onto the sand, looks through here as your body is now rushing along the current of the water towards the open grate. Roll a d6 to try to get through without smacking the sides.
I can't swim.
It's
a 3.
So it's hard for you to hear what's coming up, and so as you get thrust towards it, your body slams into the wall as the water pushes you awkwardly through it. You come, flying through like this, spinning around, landing in the sand as the wall of water slams into the wall, and some of it pushes through the open grate hole immediately. Psh! Washing over you, sort of washing you more into the room. Everyone has to stand back as water, seeps out and starts even more saturating the sand. There was that moment where the wall of water slammed into the hole, pushed a bunch of the water through, but then as it, slowly fades and subsides, you take a lot of bludgeoning damage. You take 1d6 plus 1. You take 2 plus 1. You take 3 bludgeoning damage as you get hit, smacked into the wall, and forced through the cover hole.
Welcome back.
As you stand back up, and as the 4 of you peer back out of this passageway, it's the grate still, but right at the bottom surface is solid, full of water now.
Great. Well, I don't guess
So yeah, there's about 2 feet deep of water in that whole room now when you opened the causeway, spilling all that water inside.
I want to go fishing.
Well, wait a minute. You already caught everything that you can't see.
That's funny. So, with that danger seemingly averted, again, you're peering back through the grate. It's just a flat, that murky, dark. It's not all the way dark, but it's dark blue, somewhat murky water now on the other side, maybe about 2 feet deep. So then Egan turns around and goes, what the frack is that thing on the ground?
It could be lunch, but ultimately it's a worm that didn't know what was best for it.
It was a 12-foot what's called a sand coilworm that is lying cut apart and dead on the sandy floor.
It took a bite and we bit that.
Nice.
This room is pretty big. Let me scoot this over. I can do a little more detail. Big room. And there was an open entranceway over here. The room itself, you notice the floor is. You can notice that the floor is entirely damp, dark sand, and with an open entranceway over here, you notice that the walls again are somewhat smooth. There are some blocks and sections where maybe rocks that are added in, but it's that same kind of mossy, moldy looking, going up about 6 feet. with the wet, damp stone above it. And the room comes up about 30 feet and comes over and down in a rectangular shape of the room. And you did notice as you were in the center of the room before holding your torch out that there was an opening here, a passageway leading in this direction. But as far as anything else in the room, that seems to be the only thing that you notice.
I'll tell Irving and Egan what they miss, and I'll say to Sprinkles, we should walk along the side of the wall to get to this passageway over here. It's the only other thing I saw.
Did we leave the body of that animal?
Oh, what would you do with the sand coilworm body?
You're trying to keep some of the meat.
Can I take the body and just decide something to do with it later?
Yeah, it's a sand coilworm.
12 foot.
It's got a massive gash along the back of it, laying out its organs, and its face and upper part of its face and head are stabbed and viciously gashed.
We can use a sleeping bag.
And also, what was that skill I was supposed to?
Ah, yes.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna fill them in on what we found and what we went through as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, are you still wearing the robe?
Yeah, I'm wearing it right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else in our party would have any like arcane knowledge about the scroll, whether it would go off immediately or not, right?
Alright, I'm not sure.
So we should
I mean,
probably
we don't
just.
even know if it's that kind of scroll either.
That's exactly where I'm coming from. Like we don't know right now.
Or it could just be somebody's last will and testament.
Yeah.
So you get stabbing rend. When you've landed a successful stabbing attack or your blade is kind of in someone, you can use that move and then roll the d8 to attempt a dramatic flaring rend of the blade out from their body.
Nice.
Sick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you investigated the worm and put it in your inventory, and
Wait a minute, I have a skill for special text. Let me see that scroll.
Haha.
Yeah,
That's
I
an
have
Egan's
I have a
inventory.
predate text skill.
I'm gonna use predate text on the scroll they found.
Just don't try to read it out loud. I don't know
Okay.
if that would really matter.
so you slowly open up the scroll. Go ahead and use predate text.
Yeah, it is the one I didn't choose for.
My predate text is like a 5 a day, 38.
Break the walls down. A 2. It appears to be in an older dialect of Common Tongue, so some of the spellings are a bit outdated and off, but you can definitely tell what it is. It appears to be some kind of a brief note that was maybe written by the person who had the robes, a wizard, who it's some kind of a retelling of whatever had happened that had got him stuck in that room. He says, it's a message just saying that he left his best cloak in that box as he tried to navigate his way back through this dungeon. He said that he wasn't sure if he was going to make it or not, but he knew that there was something ancient and something powerful down here.
Uh-huh.
The scroll informs us that another wizard of the arcane ways came here searching for archaic and things that are also related to the old ways.
Does it say anything about this set of robes?
Just says that they
just
were,
his best robes.
just they were his most powerful, like the best thing he had on his person.
Sick.
Did he give us any hints on where to go?
Thanks, new guy.
It doesn't give anything about directions, just that it was like a desperation note, just that, the rest of his group and the rest of his party had been killed, and it was just him down there. And so he was, in case anyone else would ever find the box, he stuffed his magical robes inside with a note in the pocket saying that he knew he had a strong feeling, or he knew that there was something ancient and powerful down here.
Well, super sick, dude. Thank you for upgrading us.
This at least confirms we're definitely on track to something related to the old ways down here. Mayhaps he was powerful and wise enough to know the world spell itself.
Maybe. Something like that isn't exactly common knowledge, but then again, if he was down here, he wasn't common, I would say. So,
Member of Zootopia, or no, Zootopia.
so the rest of the room, damp sand with, you know, grooves and bulges in it and spots in it from the battle. With, again, the stone walls around the outsides with an entranceway or an exitway over here against the far edge of the room.
I'll test out my new ground slink ability to slink over there, to then check it out and yell back to everyone what I see.
Good. Use predict ground slink.
Oh.
Sheesh.
An 8. Roll it again. What a ground slink. So with an 8, as you go to hop forward, your body automatically elongates, stretching out a little bit until you're longer, more like worm-shaped. You strike the sand and you burrow yourself into it in the span of a moment. And then as you feel yourself slithering and gliding through the sand underneath, you cover that distance almost instantly. Popping back up out of the sand, you land right in front of the open passageway. And it's an average-sized looking cut out of the wall stone itself. It looks like it goes straight on for about 6 feet and then turns sharply to the left.
It looks safe to me over here. And it's not quicksand.
Fantastic.
As everyone else walks across the sand to get over there. It definitely just kind of goes in and turns sharply to the left. Everyone has torches or torchlight or some light source.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What's going on?
Oh, well, that is weird.
I can hit him.
Very strange.
Close everyone's eyes.
We could certainly use a crumba down here.
So as the 4 of you head into this tight passageway, and as you notice it turns to the left, as soon as it turns left, you notice that it goes downstairs yet again. The floor damp, the walls again moldy and mossy, water dripping occasionally from the ceilings as you're sort of peering down the steps. It's quite a few steps. It goes down at least 50 steps. It goes down pretty far.
Wow.
So the 4 of you begin cautiously creeping down the steps. You hear nothing but the occasional skittering of a mouse, perhaps further down. Cobwebs hanging delicately from the ceiling above you as you're descending deeper and deeper and deeper down the steps.
I'll use a predate song again to echo down the hallway.
Oh, nice! It is a long steps the hallway. A 7. You were in the back of the group, and so it kind of caught everyone by surprise when you start going, echoing down the stairway, echoing all along the walls, causing a magnificent sounding echoing effect. And that was only about a third of the way down. So as you're going down the steps, getting down to the bottom finally, it again goes only about another 10 feet out before it turns sharply again to the right. So walking and looking over, you see it opens up into another room. So the first thing that you notice as you walk in here, that it looks like, was there a cave-in, or was there something going on in the first part of this room? Because there's like all kinds of sharp, jagged rocks and stones and debris littering the stone floor here for about 10 feet out. As you're kind of walking amongst them, looking around curiously, you step out and notice that there's literally a gap. It's darkness out in front of you. Walking over to the lip of it, making sure not to step in any of the sharp stones, Sprinkles just happens to kind of kick one in. You hear it tumble, and after a couple seconds, you finally hear it clatter on the ground. It falls pretty far before you heard that sound, more than a couple seconds. But holding your torch out over it, it's too far down to see the bottom. Though, as you hold the torch up and out and look across, you see that there is another section of the floor on the other side. But you see what looks like these tall stone. Could they be bridges? They're all just sort of straight up. There's 1, 2, and 3. The ceiling itself is about 40 or 50 feet high, and each of these look pretty tall. You also notice that hanging from the top of each one, there seems to be a string bolted to each one, with the string tied up and bolted to the ceiling, holding the stones up there in some kind of a hanging motion, like this. So you're kind of looking out across it like, what the hell is this?
Strange.
So you could shoot those strings?
You could try. Can I take a shot at one?
Roll d6. A 2. Lining up, you draw the arrow out. As you swing it, the lightning jumps out of it. But because you, on a 2, you shot it too high. It hits the ceiling about 15 feet short of where the rope was at, and clangs and goes straight down at a 90-degree angle.
Did the lightning help illuminate the room and stuff?
Oh, it did. It cast a glow out from this room. You got a better look at these long stone planks that are, each one is long, and there's 3 of them, boom, 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 coming up like this. And each one does have string, a heavy, thick rope. And that stretch of rope is only about 3 feet tall, in the space between the top of the stone and the ceiling, holding each one there. Each one seems to be leaning forward ever so slightly, with tension on the ropes as it's hanging there. You shot the arrow and it went short, bouncing off the ceiling, falling into the darkness below.
Gotta try again.
Yeah, as you take a step back, ow, you step on one of those sharp, pointy rocks there behind you at your feet. So you gotta be careful where you're standing.
Alright.
Go ahead and line up another shot. Roll d6. A 1. This time you actually shoot it too low. Lightning arcs from the tip of the arrow as it streaks over, hitting one of the planks, or the long stone planks, down towards the bottom, skittering and breaking, going down into the pit below it.
Somebody else have an idea here?
I'm gonna use.
And just no, I couldn't.
I'm gonna use read the room.
Okay. A 2. As you slowly investigate, scanning your vision out ahead of you, it really does seem like if someone were to hit one of those ropes, it would maybe cause one of those long stone pathways to just drop down. Or judging by the distance of it and how far away you are from it, maybe it's enough to where it would form a bridge if you were to knock one down. He's been firing at it with arrows, but as you're lower to the ground than everyone else, you had to be careful to step around. And looking up at the ceiling, you notice that a lot of the chunks, they're missing pieces and chunks in the ceiling, as if something happened to knock all this debris down at your feet. But a lot of the pieces are maybe thin, that you can that you could pick up, and they're like a disc in your hand. Some are larger, but with sharp protrusions coming out from them. Lots of sharp, jagged chunks and pieces of rocks and debris all littered here.
Let's throw out the ropes.
I'm gonna ask Sprinkles to try to climb the wall if he could.
Well, the gap is like across from us, isn't it?
Yeah, the gap is 10, 20, 30. It's about 30 to 40 feet across.
Alright, I'll make an attempt to throw one of these jagged rocks.
So,
I'll tell Egan he can join in too. It'll be some good practice for him.
Egan, he will admit that his muscles are a little tired from all that swinging he did with the pickaxe, but he'll definitely try.
Irvin had you working?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, Egan rolls a 6.
Oh.
A 2. So you threw yours and it went halfway. Went halfway, falling short. Egan hits a 1, but he hit a 6 on his first one. Egan picks it up, and as he casts it side hand, he picked up a smooth, more disc-like piece of stone. it does the thing where it up and around, bouncing off the walls and hitting one of the ropes.
Captain Egan.
It cut it to where there's that moment to where you can hear the tension as the rope slowly frays, frays a little more, and then as it snaps, this one over on this side, because there were 3, this one over here comes down, and as soon as it strikes, he has to jump back as it lands, causing the whole room to shake, boom, as it lands. There's that moment where silt falls from the ceiling and dust. Some of it falls off the walls and crumbles. As when the stone landed, it also cracked, causing a crack going up the center of it. It didn't go all the way, but the force of the stone landing and how thin it was caused it to break and crack somewhat along the middle of it. But now that has created a thin stone bridge going all the way across on this side.
You ain't gonna show me up, Egan. I'm gonna attempt to.
Go ahead. A 3. Picking up another stone, you throw it. This time it goes up, and you think it's gonna hit the rock, but it goes over about a foot to the right of it and misses.
You didn't tell us you were a dungeon master, Egan.
He shrugs and he goes, I was aiming for the one in the middle.
Nah, you just aiming to be better than me.
Let's fight.
I start going across the bridge.
Yeah, stepping up on it, you step on it, and about a foot of it went over the floor where you were standing at. Over so that where you can step up on it, you step up over on it, sliding, shifting your weight. You get 4 or 5 feet out, and you don't really feel it moving or giving way. Roll a d6. Nice. As you start sort of walking slowly across it, who will go next?
Oh, yeah. Me.
Alright.
Wait.
I figure you get some letters.
Yeah. I'm going to go after you so that you can play tunes, and that way I know what to follow.
Alright.
So Egan's going next? Or
Yeah, and actually, since I'm used to it, I'm just going to grab his collar and follow him.
Nice. All right, well, the two of you, in a familiar motion, go ahead and roll it again. He rolled a 4. 4. Look at that. So, and as you're watching from behind as they do this, they move in some almost a unity as he grabs the back of his cloak and they step up on it at the same time and they start slowly shifting across the stone bridge in unison. They appear to be quite well practiced at this. What were they doing previously in the dungeon?
Must be the new eyes of Irving.
Yeah, dude. Egan, my eyes.
So as now you're moving along, will you hop up on there now or will you wait?
I'll wait till I get across.
Okay. Gets over to where Irving is finally, as Sprinkles is finally on the other side. He hops over onto this normal stone piece over on this side. You continue sort of sliding and shifting along. Roll one more set. Here, roll a 4.
And a 5.
Beautiful. And that's enough for the two of you to cross as well. Now looking back over, Slippy finally bounds up on top here and begins to make her way across. Roll d6. A 1. You did one bound, and as you landed on the spot where that crack had formed in the center, suddenly the whole thing buckles for just a moment as the crack widens, going up and going back along. Looking around for a moment, you realize that it's stopped, and you can hear it as it's. Roll to keep moving.
Can I use predate dart?
Oh, definitely.
Yes, you can. Advised.
A 5. So as you bound and bound again the rest of the way, this middle piece here just cracks and breaks away as this whole thing just falls down as you barely make it over onto the other side just in time as it breaks and gives way.
Good day.
A second goes by, and then you hear as it hits the bottom of this chasm below you.
There's some more of those rocks on this side too?
Yeah, there's one here and there's one here. Yep.
Oh, like just rocks that we can throw the ropes.
On this side, no, there's not.
I was gonna try.
Slippy, no!
I was gonna try to throw some more at the things while we were across.
It is still here though. There's still one right here and one right here because there were 3 lined up all together. So there is still 2 more. But as the 4 of you are standing on this other side of the small makeshift chasm, you can peer into this doorway and see that it's another one of these thin stone passages that goes on. It goes on straight ahead for maybe about 20 feet, and then you see the curve of it as it turns off to the left.
We should probably still go in the same order. Sprinkles.
Sure.
Egan, Irving, me.
Yeah.
So that was... Wait, say that again? Sorry.
Sprinkles, Egan, Irving. Slither.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that the passageway does curve around this way as the 4 of you are pushing your way around. And this time, as you come around that bend, you notice that it goes upstairs. But it's hardly like they're stairs. Each step is a wide piece, about the whole length of the corridor, but it's about 4 feet long. So it's like one stepping pedestal, another stepping pedestal, another stepping pedestal, leading up about 10 or 15 of them. So yeah, they're kind of wide. So it would be like this, and then like this, and then like this, and like this. As you start stepping up them, holding your torch out, you notice that the stone here is wet and damp, much like other places in the dungeon. The stones have some moss and some grime along them as you're stepping up onto each one. And it goes up and up, up and up, 10 and then 15 of them. Let's see, actually, let's do it like this. Tighten this up a little. Need a bigger room. Need more room in this room. So it comes up to where it's more of that same smooth, carved into the stone corridor at the top of all these longer stepping pedestals. Get up to the top, and it's only about 10 or 15 feet before, as you're holding the torch out in front of you, you see that it definitely opens into another room. But as you're walking up to this room, you notice that you see, like, you can already look into the room and you can see bits of cloth and piles of bones. The stone, it looks like less like stone, more like dirt and pieces of rock that are just set all over it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Sprinkles to be the first person to walk in holding his torch out in front of him. And it seems that light hasn't perhaps pierced this room in hundreds of years. Again, it looks more like a lair and less like another dungeony room or even like a sewer room with stone, all rock and bits of dirt all along the ceiling here, with chunks of little stalactites maybe coming down here and there. With dirt and rock and offset little chunks of stone littering all the ground around you. With bones, a skull and some ribs over here, piles of bones scattered all over the place. With large tufts and clumps of fur and debris and cloth here and there as well. But as soon as you walk in and the torchlight illuminates it, you'll also see these big, large, they must be rodents, but they're huge. They could go above your knee, each one. They're over here, some of them are over here kind of chittering around at each other, gnawing on bones, or rummaging around in the tufts of fur. And there's some more over here. So as soon as the light comes into the room, they all sort of turn in unison, and they're big, furless, with dark, pink, stretched-looking skin. They have long, rodent-like snouts with thick, bushy, black whiskers and gnashing front teeth. And they've got dark, black, beady eyes and wrinkled pink ears, long, slithering pink tails. As these, as what's called hulking wolf rats, and there's about 7, and there's about 7,
Egan can handle it.
7?
and there's about 7 of them.
7.
Jiminy crickets. That's a lot of.
Are we fighting them now?
Let's go.
I thought he was going to lose in a clip.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
Oh well. Oh well, you know what? Yeah, well you know what? That is good candor because we are right at time, and so we are gonna leave it right here as the group walking into this this rat lair, for lack of a better term, see these 7 hulking wolf rats in their natural habitat. They all turn and let out chittering, screeching all at the same time as the 7 of them all begin to move, shifting around, heading towards this new oncoming threat. And we were going to find out what they do to encounter this. And, you know, you may even have an extra person in the group that may help out with that.
They're still ain't 7.
I mean,
I can kill at least 1 or 2.
Don't you eat rats, Tom?
So when we come back, we are going to find out what happens to conclude this battle as these hulking wolf rats all begin bounding and skittering towards our adventurers as they walked into their lair. So what will happen to our intrepid warriors? Will they survive this fated encounter? Will they make their way through the rest of the dungeon and learn more of the old ways? We'll find out next time. Yeah,
next time.
I definitely want to thank everyone for who followed today. I want to thank everyone who watched. We definitely appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Again, happy holiday, everyone. Hope y'all had a great day, and I hope the rest of your week is great too. And we'll see you at the brewery on Sunday for our other campaign. And until then, we will see you
next time.
Next time.